now that PWG is more or less, I hate to say done, because you never say never, but I'd say never doing it again. You know?
Yeah. But you know what you can watch? You can watch Epic Pro Wrestling out of Baldwin Park, August 29th. Andrew, he is the promoter, the progenitor, the man behind Epic Pro in LA. Why don't you tell people about that show, man?
It's gonna be a great show. We got Bad Dude Tito facing Alpha Zoe. We got Royce Isaacs defending the Epic Pro Championship. We got Tony Deppen making his Epic Pro debut. It's gonna be sick. Tickets available at bettereachday4.eventbrite.com and at the door. $30 for adults, GA tickets, all over. So first come, first serve. You want front row seat, or want to pull up a front row seat, whatever, as long as you're not blocking any aisles. Kids tickets are $20 at the door only. So yeah, bell time 7 p.m. Doors open at 6:20. We'll probably have a prelim match or two. So it's gonna be a sick show. Tons of free parking and air conditioning too.
Yeah. Air conditioning in SoCal, especially in Baldwin Park. That's where I grew up, man, and it gets hot out there. So I definitely gotta duck into that show to get some AC because my wife doesn't let me turn it on. So absolutely go watch that show. Go to Epic Pro in Baldwin Park. Go hit up on a Eventbrite. You could hit Andrew up on X. He's Epic Pro LA, right? That's Epic Pro LA on the
Epic Pro LA on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and
Hey, this is Doc. If you're enjoying the music, please head on over to SoundCloud. Hit up my baby cousin. Hit up Nickelangelo Music. That's NIKKOANGELOMUZIK. Nickelangelo Music on SoundCloud. Hit him up for any music inquiries because this boy makes that hot stuff.
Hello, hey guys. So I have with me here Tom Fleming, comic book artist, cover artist, comic book trading card artist. You may have seen his work on heavy metal. You might have seen his work on Marvel and DC Comics. You might have seen his work on wrestlers such as Razor Ramon. Tom, great to have you here.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
So you're gonna be at an event at the end of July, right?
Yep, GalaxyCon Raleigh. It's been my staple show. It's my closest show that I do to where I live in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I look forward to it every year. And they take really good care of us.
Absolutely. What can people look for on that show that you're going to bring?
So at that show, that's one of my, that's my full setup. I have everything from my framed G clay canvases to prints on photo luster paper, my full line of superhero, Marvel, DC, and fantasy art. It's pretty much everything. My full line of everything, including some original art. Sometimes I even bring the legendary original art for the 93 Survivor Series, the one that we spoke of in the interview with Lex Luger. I still have those paintings, so sometimes I put them on display also.
I love this stuff. And where can people go again? This is going to be the Raleigh Comic Con?
Yeah, this is GalaxyCon Raleigh.
Right.
And they're all over social media. So if you want more information, just go on Facebook or Instagram and stuff, and they do daily posts on all the artists and media guests.
Okay. And if people wanted to follow you and see your art, where can people do that?
Okay, the TomFlemingArtwork.com is the website. Tom Fleming Art on Facebook, or Tom Fleming, but you would have to send me a friend request. And then on Instagram, it would be Tom Fleming Art on Instagram. And then I have my Etsy and eBay stores with my full line of prints.
Excellent stuff, bro. So that's GalaxyCon in Raleigh. That's where people can find you at the end of July.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Thank you so much, Tom.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Ni hao. This is Doc, aka the Dim Sum Don, aka the Chow main event, J Puso, aka the good Ba Boy, yeah, aka Magandang Umaga, aka Suman Reigns, acknowledge me, aka I love you, Solo Suka, aka the Bigan Killer, Randy Otap, aka Big Match, Jian Sinagang, aka the Flanimal Bautista. I walk around the fire pit of lechon, aka Filipino Heat, aka Yamcha, real smooth now, dun, 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 turn it out, aka we're smoking that fresh Manny Pack, aka Cherokee the Aswang, aka your host. And I want to say I feel pretty blessed today. I mean, I'm trying this new thing out. It's really good to have a daily affirmation in my estimation. And I want to try this out. So, forgive me for this, but I think it's always good to just take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and just think of all the things that you have in your life right now that you feel are blessings, whether that be your fur babies, whether that be your real babies, or whether that be those little naked babies with the doodles all out, those sunny angels. Just think about all the things that make you feel good, make you feel happy, and just, hold on to them and realize that your life is worth it, and you are worth it. And joining me today, he is an educator, he is a husband, he is one of the most interesting people I have talked to, because I used to think he was Asian also, so he's one of my favorite people to talk to, a really great guy, and he is not Qingchang, he is from Chongqing, and he is chongqingblues, who's not really from Chongqing, he's really from the great country of Canada. And hey, welcome, bud.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm
So
doing very good.
you did manage to break me at the end there. I was holding in the laugh a while.
It's, it took me a while to get all those things to come out as natural as possible. In particular, the John Cena gong one. It took me a whole long time to get that kind of inflection in there, and I'm still trying to get. Somebody asked me why are you saying sola suka? And so in my language, suka is the word for vinegar. So trying to get that same, I love you, solo suka. It's hard because because Jacob always hits his words he hits them hard. So it's because I'm also saying the last name, so it's okay, but it's getting there. but it's a work in progress still, and I'm still adding some. I'm still work. I always workshop it in my own head beforehand, but
Yeah,
it's pretty
just
much a freestyle.
slowly build them out, right?
Yeah, I actually no, I'm gonna break people's illusions. I have a list of all like my screen names I've used over the years, right? And this is basically me doing the same thing like with my screen names because for the children out there, like if you ever had AOL Instant Messenger, MSN Instant Messenger, Yahoo Instant Messenger, or like you went on like forums, right? You'd have your screen name, and I guess you see them now on like Discord. You have your own screen name or whatever name you use when you're playing online. So I'd have a lot, and this is kind of bringing me back to that era of my life where I was thinking about what's the funniest pun nickname that I could use for myself as a screen name. And I'm gonna reveal myself here, but like, and during like the early 2000s, I had sort of an awakening with my Filipino-ness. So my screen name, I'm gonna ask what yours is, Mike. Mine was Bad Boy Pinoy, and it was spelled B4D, B0I, PN0Y85. That was my screen
That's
name.
like Xbox Live Core right there.
Hell yeah. Yeah, hell yeah, man. What was your main screen name back in the day?
So my screen name is actually the same as my Gmail because I made it back when I was like 14,
Wow.
and that is it's Pwn Beaver. Like remember like PWN Pwn, like
Oh yeah.
that whole thing. This is like Jesus Christ. This is like taking me back to when I was in like elementary school and I'd go home and watch G4 and like X-Play constantly and whatever.
Oh yeah.
And
Adam
the
Sessler.
yeah, exactly. And
Morgan
so
Lang.
it's like that gamer speak kind
Yeah.
of elite stuff was all around, right? But the Beaver bit came from partly the Canadian identity,
Oh
but
yeah.
also when I was a kid, I had these buck teeth. So my dad would like lovingly call me Beaver. And
Oh
then,
nice.
but then as I got older, Pwn Beaver kind of meant something else, and that became weird.
Ah yeah.
But, you know,
Yeah.
so
Hey.
that's why I've kind of moved away from that as I've gone on. Yeah.
Yeah, I still use my Hotmail as my professional account.
Yeah, same here actually. My Hotmail is my professional account because it's just got my real name attached to it.
Yeah.
Um, but I imagine one day that's gonna have to change. But I'm
Yeah.
holding on as long as I can.
Yeah, people make fun of like you having Hotmail as like you're an old man, but like an email address is just an email address. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it shows that you've been around, you know.
yeah, because like there's some personality when you see someone with like a Juno email account. Like Dave Meltzer. Uh,
Yeah.
Dave Meltzer and our friend Brent still with the Juno accounts.
In in America, did you guys have like those hyper specific local email domains?
Yeah, there was back in the day.
Yeah, because my dad's still running an email address hooked up to a local domain that was run out of like only my hometown for a long time, and
That's
that
awesome.
email's probably gonna last forever. But yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Because I feel like a lot of the I feel like I whenever I use something else like because you have to have a Gmail to I feel like you use Gmail just to have like a Google Drive and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that's like the only other email address I had. Um, because you gotta like store stuff somewhere. And when I didn't expect to have this come when you think about like the evolution of like how we think of like our digital identities, to go from like we were just kids playing online and now we have a part of our digital identities become these pages like LinkedIn, which are now like
Yeah.
professional pages with our resumes fully put out there. And like I think of like I was just like on Indeed before, but like to see like a platform like LinkedIn become like basically another form of social media is pretty interesting to me because I see sometimes people post some wild things on their LinkedIn that's like, I thought this was
Yeah.
just like resume stuff, but I guess people are posting like dissertations on how they feel about a whole bunch of things. And it's just to me funny to see how like people that were posting like, because I used to post all my like blog stuff on like my MySpace or
Yeah,
a
yeah.
blogger, or I'm gonna go even older for some, for Asian people, you go on AsianAvenue.com. You have all those like wingding things, like the rotating gifs, the dancing
Oh
baby,
my god, yeah.
there, and all this stuff. Like they had this like little animation thing called like Johnny Angel, and that's where I learned how to do like all my JavaScript, HTML.
Mm.
That ultimately led to not having a career in the tech sector, which I think I probably should have. Considering how much I loved learning that language, and I used to love building PCs back when I was way younger.
Yeah.
But
I find that when I grew up, my dad was a computer repair person.
ooh,
So I grew up surrounded by computers my whole life. And I always assumed I was going into a tech job. So when I became a teacher, I figured, oh, well, that's done. But then the longer I go into teaching, the more it becomes like a technical profession for me.
uh,
Not like for teaching in general, but just kind of for the job that I'm doing.
yeah,
Um, because when they find out that I'm like semi-proficient, I wouldn't even say I'm very good with computers, but when like the fact that I know how to like diagnose errors is enough for like every teacher to start sending me stuff, and now they put me in a computer lab and a whole bunch of everything, right? So
oh yeah. Uh,
that's yeah.
when you're revealed as also a computer guy at work, where they don't have to call like
Oh my
IT to come
God,
and
yeah.
fix anything, it sucks. I should have never
Yeah.
like showed people how to do stuff.
No, it gives when you're a teacher though, it gives you a nice break from just talking to the kids all the time. So that's nice.
Yeah. And I want to say like thank you, man. Thank you for being a teacher. Thank you for shaping the future of our world and like giving them the basic tools and how to like, thrive in a in an education setting. I'm
I
not
really appreciate that.
yeah, like I always because my grandma, she was a teacher in the Philippines. She was like a professor in chemistry. Um, and like I always think of teachers like as like, like unsung heroes. And I appreciate you, man. I really do. Uh,
The way that
now,
I like to think about it is one time in China, a kid told me something I'm never going to forget.
wow.
And he said, you will teach thousands of kids, but you are one of my only teachers. And I try to bring that back as much as I can because
Wow.
the tiny interactions you might have with a kid that you're going to forget 6 months later could maybe be something that lasts a lifetime for better or for worse.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know, maybe I'm making it seem too lofty or whatever, but it seems like
No, man.
I don't know. I always try to remember that what I'm doing matters, and that
Yeah.
kind of helps, right?
Yeah.
Because yeah, typically teachers are not, um, you know, uh, treated the best by society, but yeah, it's also like it's not a victim complex thing. Like it's not like it's as bad as well in Canada. It's not as bad as people say in America. From my understanding, it kind of is, but
Oh yeah.
that's
Yeah.
yeah.
When I think about like how, because I have like family and friends who are actually like educators in America, and like how they are so they're kind of handcuffed financially to what they can and can't teach, or like what they can and
Ah,
can't give for their kids, and it's just like
okay, yes. This is a common experience.
yeah, because like there's so many people I know like that they went to school to be a teacher, and then they tried it out for a year, and then they're just like I can't do anything for these kids, so then they pivot to something else. And I think that sucks that teachers aren't being paid a living wage. I think it sucks that people think that teachers are being paid too much. I personally don't think they're being paid enough, and like it's just people don't know where their tax dollars are going to as far as education, because nobody's educated as to what taxes do. People just think you pay taxes and they don't go and do anything, but Texas go and pay these public school wages. They go to like the state universities. It goes to the community college, and like it
Yeah,
just
the whole system, it's an Ouroboros, right? You're
yeah,
eating your own tail.
you're
And you
eating
don't
your own
really know
tail.
what you're doing.
And then there's the issue I kind of have with these charter schools and private schools, and I go into like these are all things that are for profit, and they have a distinct like curriculum that they're teaching that they're not really straying from. It's just they're giving these things to kids, and then that's it. And it kind of like I I feel like the educational system in America needs to be, it has to be a little bit broken, because like I feel like I didn't really I feel like I got a lot out of my schooling because of the teachers I had and like the impressions they left on me, because I still think about my teacher from like third grade sitting me down and like trying to understand me, because they thought I was an ESL kid, right?
Oh, yeah.
I was just a really shy kid who got to the new school, and like I didn't feel like comfortable where I was, because like I got pulled away from all my friends. And just like being in a new school, she like took me aside, and like someone tried to like, they tried to put me on ESL first, but my mom came through the school and she raised hell for me and my brother, and said like, okay, just because we have first of all, because we have a Hispanic surname, you think that whenever you leave voicemails on my answering machine, it's always in Spanish. Secondly, is it because of my boys look the way they do? Is that why? Like that?
Yeah,
my mom was hard, freaking hard, man.
That's good.
Yeah,
I work in international education relations at my school, and English language learning, and that's like a new thing I started doing in the last couple of years. And that's a lot of what I deal with is admin coming to me and saying, hey, we're unsure if this kid needs ELL support or not. And something we do in Canada is, instead of, well, at least at my school, instead of just like going and asking the parents, is I'll go in and like talk to the kid on the first day of school or something, and just check, hey, do they seem like their English is high level or not? And it's kind of like a weird tightrope game, right? And it looks like your school didn't bother; they just kind of cut the rope. But so now I got a question for you, leading out of that, because this is something I've been thinking about in America. Is how much do you think the history and style of American education feeds into what WWE is?
Okay. I feel like, are we talking about the history of education, or like we're talking actual subject of history?
Like what it's like to be in American schools. Like what do you think that like sociological experience leads to? Do you think that has any connection to why WWE is the way it is?
Yeah, so a big part of the American education system is showing American exceptionalism, where we focus on like triumphs of what the Americans did. Like, I mean, they do cover stuff like, Trail of Tears, they cover like internment camps. I was happy to see one of my niece's history books, because like she asked me if I knew something about it. Like, I'm a really old man, because she had brought up like the Delano grape farmers, who started the whole. That's in their history books now. Some people of a certain denomination might say, though, that's woke, but like, I think like a lot of what's in the educational system is just focusing on a more American exceptionalism. That's why in WWE you have these presentation of these wrestlers as larger than life, being an impossible level of exceptionalism. Like this, like you, for instance, you say Cody Rhodes, okay, the American Nightmare. He's always fighting for truth, justice, the American way. He's always seen like as like super polished. He's wearing suits all the time. He just looks like somebody you would hold up as a pillar of the community based on what he looks like and how he is speaking to people. Very unlike his dad, who was more of a man of the people. He's more seen like as like, because as we go on through now in American society, we're seeing people who become pillars of America. We're seeing that as like the tech CEOs, the billionaires, and the people who write all the checks. We're seeing them as the people, and we spent a whole, I think we spent almost like 30 years glorifying the idea of a badass boss, and in terms of like how it affects pro wrestling, we need to have these wrestlers presented as always infallible and unable to be moved by anything. That's why the storylines always happen to be like, will Cody or John Cena really go to the dark side to show that they're willing to do whatever it takes to get to the top? And like we saw, I'm going to use this example because at Royal Rumble, the whole thing was, will Cody actually go far enough to take out Kevin Owens? He gets him with the Alabama Slam, and then it's revealed like the next week he broke his neck. So, and then I think a lot of that is just tied up with American exceptionalism, and it's sort of a thing of like having to show what you have as far as riches, as far as status, and as far as like popularity. These are the new currency that we're teaching the children of America, and WWE sees that also, and currency becomes actual money. WWE tickets are now status symbols because they were costing like $3,000, $2,000 a pop for WrestleMania, which used to be selling tickets at like way less of the cost. Because I went to WrestleMania in 2023 and tickets were not that expensive. And then my family went to WrestleMania this year, and they said like the same tickets they would get for the WrestleMania we went to, which was like maybe like $200, $300, were now $2,000. And again, like not even just for like children, and we see like people who are sensitive adults. Same thing with UFC, where prices for UFC cards for those tickets have grown exponentially, and now the base that's at those UFC cards are now people who are like more upper middle class people, and we're seeing more of a switch to people in the upper middle class who are doing like these blue collar hobbies, whether that be basketball, football, MMA, hockey, and especially pro wrestling, which has traditionally been a medium where people who could afford like a hot dog can go to watch the matches and just like blow off steam after like having those, like, you have your 40-hour work days, so you want to go to the wrestling shows to like just relax and just take off all that stress.
I think that that was actually a fantastic answer there, Doc. I think that something I've been considering is that WWE is like, in a weird way, very specifically McMahon wrestling, father and son.
Yeah.
Is very specific, is very oddly like a reflection of what America is and what it wants to be, and it always has been in a weird way, right?
Yeah.
Like coming out of Bruno Sammartino and like the immigrant workhorse hero,
and
right?
I want
that kind of stuff.
I do want to talk about that also because you go from Bruno to Koloff to Pedro. That's like, even though Koloff is an American or whatever, but that's 3 foreigner champions, and like with Bruno and Pedro, you have like 2 guys that Vince McMahon Sr. had saw like a audience grow for the immigrant population of like the Italians, who at that time were not seen as white people, and then also him to be so ahead of the curve to put the belt on Pedro Morales, and that drove like the Latino audience to come and watch the shows. So, and at that time, those 2 communities were also very blue collar.
And that it like builds out, right? And then you get like the crazy Reagan-esque, Hulk Hogan era.
Yeah.
And then, but it leads into what I think is by far the best era of WWE, and maybe this is just the Canadian me speaking out, but that early to mid '90s time when they were forced to push Bret Hart.
Oh yeah,
because they kind of didn't have much of a choice or anybody else going.
Yeah.
And what that led to is the best matches in WWE history, and some of the best stories, and some of the best just in general stuff, and eventually led to the biggest boom period in the company's
Yeah.
Well, that's not true at all, but the biggest TV ratings boom period in the company's history.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you want to talk actual numbers, I mean, it's probably the Bruno stuff, right? Like in terms
Yeah.
of
It's, in terms of like
but
inflation and like the number of
yeah,
sellouts he did and like
but
Shea Stadium, all that.
Bret Hart for me is, well, he's an important figure, but it's also, I think, important in the history of wrestling and the documentation of American wrestling is that there was this guy who was very much not what WWE was, because he wasn't a larger than life character. He was kind of boring as a person, but he was by far the best performer.
Yeah.
And because he was so good, the performers that came up around him became better. And they
Yeah.
had to be better because they had to match that standard. And Bret made his character and his thing like, I am Canadian, this is Canada, this is what it's like to be me, this is my family history, this is my heritage.
Yeah.
And that for him to become the villain because of that, and then eventually get dethroned. I mean, the Shawn Michaels stuff is a whole different thing, but eventually getting dethroned by Stone Cold,
Yeah.
who I think is an excellent representation of like everything that was horrible about America at the time.
Well, we're talking about vulgarity, violence,
Yeah.
disrespect.
Yeah. And that's like, you know, Stone Cold is an awesome wrestler. Like he has some great matches and he's done some great, really cool stuff in the ring and he's a legend. But
Yeah.
like, this is my wrestling journey, man. Is when I was a kid, I didn't give a shit about wrestling because of the Attitude Era.
Ah.
Like when I was a kid, I hated that. Like I thought it was trashy. I thought it was gross. And I lead a lot of that. Well, it's all Vince, right? At the end of the day,
It's all Vince.
like Stone Cold to me was not a hero figure. And that, you know, when I was a very young kid, I liked Bret Hart. Everybody
Yeah.
liked Bret Hart. He was like a phenomenon up here, right?
Mm.
But as soon as it swapped, I didn't care, and I was out of wrestling from a very young age. The
Wow.
only thing that kept me in wrestling was video games because the games are pretty good.
Yes.
So me and my buddies would play them and such. But like McMahon wrestling kept me away from the art form for 20 years.
Wow.
And
Oh,
that's like, and I think that the more that I connect that, especially nowadays with our rising Canadian nationalism,
yeah.
is it's really easy to connect that to just disdain at America and American style of doing things. Because like that's what Cena was, right? It was complacency of, you know, the best for the longest time until they had that weird period where they had to figure something out. But
Yeah. Well, when I look at the run of John Cena, he was very successful, but they also chose not to really. I know, like we look at like Randy Orton as like an also ran, but like they never really went with him also as like a real 1B. We didn't really have a 1B. We had a 1B with Batista for like maybe 2 years after winning the title, but then he turns heel, and then 5 years after the 5 years, he's done. He's like done after winning the title in
well,
2005.
he was too good for wrestling.
Yeah.
That's kind of the issue.
Yeah, he was too like finding out that he had this acting ability. Oh man.
Yeah.
I could talk. I've talked Batista so many times because like
I think I would argue Cena's too good for wrestling too. He's just
Oh.
like a fiercely loyal, weird person who
Yeah.
just, for some reason, is very tied to this horrible, horrible man and his company.
I really
But-
think if Cena had left at the same time Batista did, they would probably be on the same trajectory anyways that they became on, because we see what happened to Cena. What happened to Cena like when he really left in 2018 and he got all those movie roles like in Bumblebee, Fast
Yeah.
9,
Well, Peacemaker, he's amazing.
Peacemaker. Like Peacemaker is an amazing show, and
Oh yeah.
it just shows you like how like you see these people work on TV every day or whatever, and like you don't like realize like they're more than just what they are as far as wrestling. So seeing like
Yeah.
John Cena and Batista being like such hits on we're seeing their movies are promoted every week on like when you turn on your TV and like it gives you that pre-ad roll when you turn your TV on, or like and you can go and also say The Rock and all that stuff, and like Stone Cold also he could have been something but he did not. Bret
And I
Hart,
think that's yeah. Look, continue, Bret Hart.
yeah. So like if I even go like onto Bret Hart as far as like you bring up Bret Hart as an example of Canadian exceptionalism, right? He's an ideal Canadian, true of heart, great north, true and free. Just like a guy that would always be a bang up guy, never cheated, always fought with honor, always like made sure like that he would take care of his brothers. Showed like this kind of like like when the Hart Foundation formed, it was just like he's trying to bring his family together, and that's like you kind of you kind of feel that now as an adult. I was like, there was some static between like a couple of people in my family, but like I was happy to be like brokering and being a peacemaker. That's what I love to do, is to bring my people together, and like that's what Brett did with Davey and Owen, and that made me feel kind of like happier. Like as I was older, when I was younger, of course, because I'm a teenager in WWE. When you're a teenager and you're an American and you're doing stuff, I don't know, I'm about to sound like I'm a concerned parent. So like on TV, we're fed stuff like like South Park and WWF Attitude, where everybody was like making fun and you're trying to own each other. WCW was also doing kind of that at the time with the NWO, making fun of everybody being lame and cheesy. And like they always made it that the cool guys were the guys who said, fuck all the, for lack of a better terms, fuck all the people who are squares, and like you gotta be an asshole to go forward and move forward, otherwise you're just gonna get eaten up in the world. Which I think is like also a part of like that 90s kind of thing where they were pushing that attitude, and it's like how can I say this? It sucks. It's like a whole thing of like also like there's a really big part of toxic masculinity that comes into like the wrestling fan base, that we hear on different podcasts. We hear different voices, in wrestling, wink wink, say like stuff like say stuff like certain wrestlers are not masculine enough. This person doesn't portray like alpha behaviors, because in terms of what alpha behaviors have been in traditional American media is stuff like Stone Cold Steve Austin, is stuff like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme, but not really Jean-Claude Van Damme because he was too pretty. So and he's gonna get on that boat and kick the next Bison Wannabe's ass so hard, and it's just like you have all this like coming towards you as a child. You have all these like symbols of masculinity, and like everything is telling you you have to be this way. And in the 90s, in the late 90s specifically, not in the early 90s, because we did have heroes. We had Hulk Hogan, we had Bret Hart, we had Sting. You were kind of pushed to a point where you see like in 96 and 97, Sting stopped being like the colorful, happy-go-lucky, let's fight for right guy to become the Crow. And then like that becomes one of the benchmarks of WCW. And then if you look at like early Goldberg, he was just an overly aggressive, snarling bull of a man. And that's what was hitting with people, is like they also want to be like, alpha male, no emotions, just be angry and get shit done. And I feel like we hear nowadays that all those kinds of behaviors as being praised, not being emotionally available, being aggressive with what you want, making sure that you get what you want at any means. And like there are certain ways where I see that affecting people's mentalities, and that makes them geared towards going stuff like, because I know in the wrestling space there's a lot of like men going their own way movement, where they see themselves like separating from the rest of society, saying that, why do I need to take these women into consideration? I feel like women have it easier in life, and then it just builds this this thing where you get like these Elliot Rodger types and these like, you know, and it's the rise of Tateism just like goes up because of people feeling that they and people feeling if they're so nice and too nice that they've been taken advantage of, so they have to go the whole different route of being a misogynist creep. And
Well,
I feel
I think there's like a strange, indirect connection between, rise of, maybe not rise, but propagation of toxic masculinity in figures like Tate and, modern WE stuff like We the Ones, Acknowledge Me, that whole deal. Like it's easy to miss that, but I feel like there's a psychological bridge there, even if it's not intentional, and even if actually I think Roman Reigns would not deny that, based on his recent
recent comments
but,
from him. I don't
but
think he will deny that.
Roman Reigns 5 years ago, maybe we would have given him more credit, but now I don't know about that. But and then I find that odd because I think, and this is where I think my main problem is with American wrestling in general, is in American wrestling, it doesn't feel like an art form. It feels like a platform to something.
Yeah.
Where the people that are truly great move on to other things. Like even people that are not like truly great but want to be, they see moving on to other things as their path to greatness. Like MJF, right?
Yeah.
He's all about trying to get into films and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's like the American ideal of successful wrestler.
Yeah, I hope his Adam Sand. I hope he really does go good with like with
I think
Happy
he's talented.
Madison.
I actually think he'd probably be better in films than he would be.
Yeah, he'd be more
in the ring at this point.
He'd be more bearable in films than right now him just like being in the mid card and like a mid card storyline, being away from like being the top guy in wrestling.
Yeah.
It's like he's more bearable in this way, but like. Probably, seeing guys in movies and seeing like other sides of them is like where you get to see how they are as outside of wrestling. Because I see like when I watch a Roddy Piper or Terry Funk in like those old movies, and like they're not the hot rod and they're not Terry Funk. They're playing characters in the movies. Although, like, kind of like in Roadhouse, he's pretty much Terry Funk. but
and this is actually where I was gonna go. There is in Canada, I think that wrestling celebrities are wrestling celebrities.
Yeah.
Like when people talk about Canadian wrestlers, Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, people are remembering them as wrestlers, no matter what else they did. Like, we can talk about how awesome They Live is, and it's one of the best movies ever, but people will say, oh, that's the wrestler Roddy Piper. They wouldn't say, like, oh, that's, the actor. They would remember him as, he is a wrestler and he represented our country in some way. And in a weird way, Kenny Omega is like a minor folk hero in Canada.
That's cool, man.
Because they keep playing his documentary on TSN.
Oh, yeah. Where his
so
parents...
we have a... Yeah, we have a Canadian sports network here, TSN, that lost most of its broadcasting rights of sports, so it's mostly just like bad replays and curling. And and occasionally it'll have like a Winnipeg Jets game or something.
Yeah.
But they play the Omega Man documentary a lot, so people are like a lot of people here know Kenny Omega, like in a strange way. And so my wife is Japanese, and I spend a lot of time watching Japanese variety television because it's always on at my house. It's my way of trying to learn the language because she refuses to teach me. But when she's watching TV, occasionally they'll have pro wrestlers on. And I feel like Japan, I don't know, in the West we have like a different view of Japanese wrestling as like this lofty kind of, aspirational thing. The strong style, the legend built around it, that kind of deal. But I feel like the wrestlers that we truly love and respect here, like as the best, are just not famous in Japan.
Oh yeah.
Like the All Japan stuff, right? I love Misawa and Kobashi. Like these guys are god tier, like amazing wrestlers, some of my favorites ever. And nobody knows who they are in Japan.
Kenta Kobashi is probably my favorite, like, bell-to-bell wrestler
Yeah.
Kawada is my favorite like emotional wrestler because I love Kawada. But when I look at like the celebrity of wrestlers in Japan, I look at like one couple, Kensuke Sasaki and Akira Hokuto, who
Yes.
were famous for being the two wrestlers who got married, and they had their marriage on TV, and they were put all over the variety shows, and that's how they were famous. They're famous as being a couple, and I think they
So
still
that
do
was.
appearances.
Oh yeah, all the time. They're on variety shows all the time.
Yeah,
That my wife is like the most casual. I don't have any like she doesn't have any exposure to wrestling until I started watching it around her, and she kind of
yeah,
got into it. Um, and the only wrestlers she knew were Hokuto and Sasaki, and then the people that you imagine are just like ubiquitous, like Inoki, Keiji Muto.
Baba.
No,
Not Baba. Oh, she's too young for Baba.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
she's
that
too
would
young.
shock me because I thought that Baba would be like, it's still
Yeah,
this thing, but no, he's faded. Like
yeah.
Inoki has not. Inoki is still
He's still
like
on the
incredibly
pachinko
culturally
machines.
relevant. Yes, that comedians are still constantly sticking their chins out and pretending to be Inoki, that whole deal.
Yeah,
But Baba is like it's he's irrelevant in
yeah. He's a relic.
regular popular culture,
Yeah,
and that's kind of crazy to me. Is that and this is the thing that I think we should probably have a bit more perspective on as Western fans of Japanese wrestling. Is that there is not a single modern wrestler in Japan who is truly popular.
yeah,
Like in the vein of, like they're popular in terms of they draw and they sell merch and whatever. But there's nobody that's popular on that level of this is an
yeah.
actual celebrity that people know. Very similar to in America, how, outside of The Rock, like
Yeah.
would you say that anybody in modern wrestling is a real celebrity?
Oh hell no.
Yeah.
There's like even like you have like when Brian went viral with the yes chant,
Yeah.
or like and like Cena and Batista now like people just know them for their movies. They don't know them for the wrestling. That's crazy to say, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
crazy to say. But Cena, Batista, Rock, people don't care about them as wrestlers. They'll say, "Oh, that's the wrestler who acts." Or
The
that
kids that I
or
teach didn't know that The Rock was a wrestler.
yeah. Yeah. Well, when my niece asked like, "So where did the Rock come from?" And I said, "Oh, wrestling." She was like, "Oh, why do you guys call him the Rock? His name is Dwayne." I'm like, "Oh." I'm like, "Who are you talking about? Like, you guys always talk about call him the Rock. Why do you call him the Rock? He's Dwayne Johnson. Like, what is the Rock?" I'm like, "Oh God." But like, it's
So
just
in a similar way, my brother-in-law is a few years younger than me. He's like 26.
Yeah.
And well, I guess not. She's not. He's at like 20, 29 now.
Oh.
But he when I met him last year in person for the first time, and something that he was asking about wrestling because he knew that I liked it, and when he was a kid, he used to watch it. And so my first question was, who's the most famous New Japan wrestler?
Yeah.
And he didn't quite understand the question. He was like, Inoki. And I'm like, no, I mean like modern. And he was like, oh, Tanahashi. And I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And I'm like, what about Okada? And his answer was,
What about
who's Okada? Who is Okada?
I think Okada is known as like his wife's husband. I think that's what they know him as.
His wife is so much more famous than he is. That's so yeah, I don't know. Like when we think about these wrestlers, it gave me really interesting context because before I knew my wife, I always just assumed that it was similar to here, where it's like tertiary popularity, like it's at a similar level to comic books maybe. But no, it's like it's in the dirt. Like there's nothing.
Like the guys who are popular now, as far as like athletes and who they bring on, are like they'll have a Tanahashi on a panel, but then they'll bring like I forgot the dang man the boxer because he sold out Tokyo Dome multiple times.
Oh, that one, yeah. What's the guy's name? Yeah,
something.
There was the kickboxing match that was like that actually sold out the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah,
and that was those guys are pretty famous.
Yeah, these are all recently. And Ryzen like did great in the Tokyo Dome. They did great. They do great. They do great numbers.
Yeah,
it's funny to see that we're rising again for that. I do see that like the girls from like Stardom, like Saya Kamatani is enjoying like a popular run on on variety shows. Like she's been there playing games and stuff, and that's entirely because she's cute. Um,
Yeah, that's unfortunately a big part of it is you have to be like you either need to be really interesting looking or attractive.
yeah,
Like Chono is very popular in Japan,
yeah.
um, but only because of his variety show work.
Like when I think about like the variety show, people like say Sap Time. Sap Time was because he was always put on variety shows also.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um, whether it was being mocked or not, and it was kind of racial. It really was. They had him eating bananas. Um, it's kind
oh yeah,
of
it was not great.
yeah, it's not
Yeah,
really great to like think about it, and like when you think about wrestling celebrity in Japan versus like wrestling celebrity in Mexico, um, where like you say if you go to Mexico, you're gonna see a luchador mask everywhere, and one of the masks that you're always gonna see is Rey Mysterio Jr.'s mask.
mm,
I'm not sure if you've ever been like even here, like in San Diego and then like LA, when you go to like the Mexican vendor places, you'll see them selling luchador masks.
yeah,
Whereas like in Mexico, like where pro wrestling is so tied to the identity, in Japan, like pro wrestling is like this thing, this small thing that all those weirdos watch, and like
yeah,
it's like people want to think about like they think about these big Tokyo domes, but then like and then like they'll kind of downplay like what they did in the 90s. New Japan was actually the biggest pro wrestling, most financially successful pro wrestling company in the world in the 90s.
yeah,
Like big money. Like that's what Meltzer said. That's why they were able to get Hulk Hogan to work there because and the
yeah.
Steiners and all them because they were paying big money. And it's just people hold Japanese things like in such high regard, whether it be the culture or something. Because I remember like a bunch of people, like weebs, they'd like say, "Oh, Japan is probably like the dream place to live." But I have cousins that live in Japan, and you want to talk about, I want to talk about othering when I'm here, and I went to from my school where the population was all like Asian and Latino to going to the where I'm the only Asian population in the school, just me and my brother, and like
Yeah.
just you want to talk about othering, like my cousins were they moved there and they were like brown specks in a sea of like uh Nippon, and like you could there's a whole thing about like assimilation with Japan and how like they disregarded the Okinawans
Very
um
true.
and the native people. Man, I feel very much of an asshole for saying that, for not knowing that off the top of my head. There, I don't have my phone. Do you mind looking that up for me or? Uh,
Well, it's okay. Just keep going.
yeah, yeah. So it's
We
like
we get it. We get
yeah,
it.
yeah, but like native people, right? So native people
Yeah.
in Japan were all like told to assimilate to become Japanese, the one Japanese, and like it becomes like where you have one look for what Japanese people should look like, and this is why I'm gonna bring it back also to like to right wing racism. They always bring up Japan as a utopia society because of how homogenized it is and how great it is that they're keeping their bloodlines pure, for lack of a better word. And I don't really like that. My cousins did grow up in Japan. They did feel like they were kind of a little bit ostracized because of what they look like on the outside, right? And like
Yeah.
it's like a little troubling when you think about that and you think about like how really they're not as forward as you think they would be, but because Japan is
Yeah.
traditionally like a very still a traditional, still very old school uh, society, and I just kind of want to like break that illusion that that Japan
Yeah.
is somehow this utopia for people of all creeds, colors, and all that because it's really
Yeah. Now
not.
at the same time, those right wingers would be very angry when they realize how many incredibly famous people in Japan are gender non-conforming.
Yeah, they'll be so mad. It's like, oh man, the Japanese are so great because they're not woke. Oh wait, they're too woke. It's like
Yeah.
I kind of
Like
like
one of my favorite Japanese celebrities is Matsuko Deluxe,
mm,
who is a kind of like a talk show host, I guess. So like it's maybe there's not really a comparison. They're a very interesting person,
yeah.
but they host multiple shows a week. And um, when I was in Japan, I was asking one of my wife's friends about like what pronouns should I use for Matsuko Deluxe, and because I've always used they,
Yeah.
and my wife's friend said Matsuko usually prefers she in Japanese,
Yeah.
but it doesn't. It's not really a translatable thing, like the way that Matsuko talks about it. So
Hmm.
like there's a lot of like fascinating stuff in the youth and in pop culture and where it's like hyper progressive, but then at the same time, like everything else is not.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Because they are very it's to see when I like you see those man on the street interviews in Japan a lot, right? On YouTube, where like
Yeah,
the Japanese guy goes there and say, "What do you think about blah 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 social issue?" And like he's interviewing all these young Japanese people, and like they have the same like thoughts that we do over here. Gay people should have rights, gay marriage should be a thing. All this stuff of like, I wish there was less, discrimination here. Or that's how the young people believe, and I
yeah.
think that's really cool. I always like, and then when I come to like back, I'm gonna bring it back to like America, Canada, North America. A lot of times, people our age, us millennials, always want to disregard like Zoomers or like the young children out there because we've become the old people that disregard the young people for their opinions. And I think it's very important to really get into like what children and what teenagers and what the youth of the nation like find to be important, to like really get into there and like find out like what are their core value systems as they're growing up. I love talking to my nephews because one of my nephews, he's a little jerk, right? Super genius though. He's like he's so smart. He's too smart for his own good. But like when I talk to him about what he loves, because he talks about like I really don't like it when people get made fun of because everybody should be treated the same no matter what they look like or what they believe in. And I was like, who'd you learn that from? He's like, I didn't learn that from anybody. That's what I believe. And I'm like, oh God, thank God. And his little brother is like the same way. He's such a sweetheart, where he's not really like book smart, but he's like very emotionally open. And I love those boys. I love those
How
boys so
how
much.
old how old are
They're
they?
they're 11 and 9.
Okay, they are right around the cusp of about to be getting hit with the TikTok algorithm that'll
Yeah,
radicalize them. So be
yeah.
careful.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Because I teach, yeah, I teach students between the ages of 13 and 17 usually,
Yeah,
and which is the most vulnerable time
yeah,
for young people these days.
yeah.
Maybe ever, I don't know, but I only have my contacts to go with. And
I Yeah, because I watched the Daily Show, right? Because Jordan Klepper had interviewed Hasanabi, and
oh
they
yes, okay.
they were creating a TikTok account as they were 16-year-old boys. They just finished adding themselves, and then they were inundated with misogynist videos and like Andrew Tate and like pro America and like masculinity things, like
If
right
you
away without
make
looking
a
at anything, and then that's
yes,
disturbing, man. Like, because
if
that
you
they
make
assume.
a blank YouTube account, almost always one of the first suggested videos is going to be a PragerU video.
Yeah, I hate that shit, man. The
Yeah,
PragerU is
it's
like they're trying to teach people like that being kind to each other is the worst kind of mindset you could have. Where like
yeah, it's not good.
one of the like I hate right now because like I grew up I grew up Catholic. I left the church for because of the whole rape thing. I left it, but the whole thing that I've been taught in my church was love love thy neighbor, treat people how you want to be treated, always come to everything with an open heart, and like never like always treat people the way you want to be treated, and charity is always good, right? That's how those are tenets of Christianity. And now like I go on there and like people are saying no, Jesus, it's too woke to be charity is not good. No, feeding children is not important. Why should you feed other people's children? Why can't the children get their own food? And I'm
I
just
think that this is a disease brought on by being so closed off from each other.
yeah,
And while the cell phone in particular, the internet, I don't know. I don't think the internet is necessarily a problem. I think because when I was a kid, it was just like a connective tissue in many ways.
yeah,
But algorithmic, manipulation, social media apps, the propagation of that stuff, and not even the creation of it or the existence of it. It's more like the way it's used.
yeah,
I think that stuff has insulated people so much into these little bubbles, these little boxes. I teach marketing, and one of the things that I tell kids on the first day of class is I'll make them stand up depending on what logos they're wearing. And usually I'll pull half the kids or more in the class by saying stand up if you're wearing a Nike logo. And I can show them very quickly how easy it is for me to sort them into little boxes and then start selling them stuff.
wow,
And that's a lesson in this is bad, guys. Like, it's not bad that you like Nike and you're wearing Nike stuff. The bad
yeah,
part is this is how people are thinking about you. They're thinking about you in terms of what box can I put you in to sell you something. Whether that be, a product or a political idea or whatever.
yeah,
And when I think about how insulated people are in their, algorithmic bubble, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. There's a bunch of fancy terms that scientists keep, political scientists keep changing
yeah,
around. But when I think about that, I think that the solution, the cure to this is actually travel. And it's moving because, moving outside your community is step one, but then moving outside of your country, moving outside of, your cultural boundaries, like experiencing different things is probably the long-term solution to a lot of the society's ailments, the ailments of the youth, the ailments of the elderly, whatever people happen to be dealing with socially. I think that it's just experience.
yeah,
And I think that, especially coming out of COVID, we lost so much of that
yeah.
that
Because
it's hard to build that back in.
I do feel like COVID had they did damage a lot. I mean, there's studies that show that COVID has affected people's brainwave patterns and how people are thinking and how people are living. I had COVID; it hit me really bad, and I'm still not right with my stomach. I'm still not right with my breathing. But I'm like curious to see like what happened with my way of thinking. I think what happened when COVID happened, also my ADHD got really out of whack, and I actually got diagnosed with ADHD, like maybe four years ago, and I think this is important to know because like if you have ADHD and you don't get it diagnosed, once you do get it diagnosed, then things start making sense to you. Our friend Droman told us before, like when he took like ADHD medication, for the first time he felt like he was awake and sober. And I think when you combine that kind of stuff where you're not really, as in 2020, you're just inundated with everything online. You're always online. You're always on your phone. You're communicating with people on your phone. This is your only form of communication to the outside world. And that phone becomes like an echo chamber, and you get targeted ads, targeted ads, targeted ads. And whether you know it or not, you start assimilating into like these ideas because they're so put in your head that they become, what did we call it before when you got like subliminal messaging, right? But it's not
Yes.
subliminal. It's like it's like you're purposely being given these things and you're consuming them, sort of like how people in North Korea would be watching like state-run TV and we
Well,
fed
it goes back to Roddy Piper, right? They live.
yeah.
That's what it's
Obey.
about.
Obey.
Yeah.
Man.
Who
Who knew? Who knew that this talk would be happening?
Yeah.
George just
Carpenter
talks-
was a little bit ahead of his time. The
Yeah.
thing, all these things, but the community aspect of that is I have an experience. I have one tattoo on my body,
Okay.
and the tattoo is the logo of the K-pop band Red Velvet.
So is it above your butt crack?
No, I wish. No, it's on my shoulder. And me and my buddy, when we were in China, I had this. some British friends, and my one friend wanted to get a tattoo,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Man, will you go with me?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And then I just got a tattoo. It was one of those things where like you're a young man and
Yeah.
your impulse, and you're like, "Let's do it." And the reason why I picked the Red Velvet logo wasn't for like perverted K-pop reasons. It was because of it was because I had an experience earlier in that year where I had visited. I went back home for a month because when you're in China, you have a month holiday for the Chinese New Year, and
Must be
I went
nice.
back home for yeah, it was pretty great. But I went back home for a month, and on the way back, I went to go see Red Velvet in Toronto. They were performing, and it was one of the members in Red Velvet is Canadian, and it was her birthday, and Toronto was her hometown. So we were like there was a moment in the show where the entire crowd started singing Happy Birthday, and I started looking around the crowd, and I would see people of all different ages, like from the elderly to little kids. I would see people of every different color, every different, race, religion, creed, whatever.
Yeah.
And like next to me was a Sikh guy, and on the other side was a lesbian couple. And just looking around and seeing all these people united singing Happy Birthday for this K-pop star who grew up in Canada and moved to Korea to become a celebrity. And it was like I started weeping. Like it was a powerful experience of this is community. This is what I think Canada is. This is like what I want to be.
That's a good story.
And so that's where the tattoo came from.
Yeah.
And in the exact same venue, a handful of years later, I made my first major trip after COVID. And that was, I flew back to Toronto from Vancouver to go see Forbidden Door 2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was sitting in there watching Omega versus Ospreay 2. For my money, the greatest match to ever happen on North American soil for a variety of reasons. But the main one is that match brought that exact same feeling of community that the show did.
Wow.
In that we were all sitting here, we were united, and it's the genius of Kenny Omega, right? Where he has that understanding, that quality of connection to the audience, where he builds the match based on the circumstance. And that was, for all intents and purposes, the only big match Kenny has ever had in Canada. Like, if you really think about it, he's like, when he was wrestling in Canada, he was a nothing.
Yeah.
And then after he became a massive celebrity in AEW in New Japan, that was the only major singles match he's had on Canadian soil. So he really played up the Canadian aspect of it. You had Will Ospreay out there like wiping his ass with the flag, and Kenny doing the stuff that the one that really got me, and this is the part where I was like, holy shit, this is one of the best matches ever, was when Ospreay started doing the crossface.
Oh.
So in the middle of the ring, Ospreay puts Kenny in the sharpshooter, and we all start booing, and everybody's mad, and we're all slapping the rails and everything, and then he transitions into the crossface, and the entire crowd went quiet, like pin drop quiet.
He knows what he's doing.
And then we started screaming at him, like actual hatred, screaming at Will Ospreay. And I was watching this, and it wasn't until after, because it's like euphoric when you're in the moment. And then after, I'm like, holy shit, that was one of the best communal experiences I'll ever have.
Yeah.
And that is like the power of community, and more specifically, the power of the art form of wrestling.
Yeah.
In that, that to control a crowd like that, to take, I think in that day it was like 16,000 people or something, to take like 16,000 people in an arena and have them all shut up because of a well-planned, historically relevant, culturally relevant, move, is like nothing else is going to do that to you. And it makes me mad when wrestling moves away from that. Like this week is the first week in a while I watched AEW, mainly to prep for this, because it's been a while. I've kind of disconnected for wrestling in a lot of ways. For a variety of reasons, but to be honest with you, it's because I just don't like Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley in his current form is like, he brings me back to that Stone Cold that I didn't like back in the day, of like just meandering nonsense of, he's not like vulgar like Stone Cold, but it's that same kind of thing where that single figure being at the top and being on TV so much is enough to just push me away.
Oh.
And him losing to Swerve, or him beating Swerve rather, was the final straw for me. Where I was like, yeah, I'm out of here. This is nonsense.
Yeah.
And I'll basically drop in to watch Kenny matches.
Yeah.
So this week I watched Takeshita matches. He's my guy.
I
But
love Takeshita.
yeah, this week I turned it on and I was watching on really good match, right? Hangman and Ospreay versus Alexander and Takeshita. And I was watching it, and there was the point in the end, because Hangman's the only other wrestler alive that I think can do the Kenny thing,
Yeah.
where he can really just fully connect to an audience, and he tailors his work and his match and his layouts to the moment.
When you watch a Hangman match, listen to the crowd.
Yes.
You'll hear the women screaming for him, and
Yeah.
that's important. It's the women that are screaming for him, and
Yeah.
the
I
kids who
think
are
that-
screaming for him to go and win. That's who is cheering.
Oh,
the whole
absolutely.
thing.
I think this is a controversial take. I love Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay is not and has never been the best wrestler in the world.
No.
And the main reason for that is because he lacks that emotion. He lacks that connection. And for a long time, I didn't know what it was. And the only match where it took a long time, but the only matches where I feel like he really brought that out were the Kenny matches and the Ospreay or the Okada G1 final.
Well,
Um,
also, like, you got to look at it like this, man. I see Osprey's his real ceiling and connection is not as a face; it is as a heel. When he turned and became like the United Empire, the Commonwealth
Yes.
kingpin, that's when he found his stride. That's when everybody was like on board with him because he's able to express that kind of thing.
Now, I
But-
think he also has a Takeshita problem where he is such a likable person
Yeah,
that it's tough to. He just needs to find that juice as
Yeah.
a face, you know. And I think that Hangman's going to help bring it out of him or something. But it's like because he shows the flashes, he can do it,
yeah.
and he is definitely the most like physically gifted wrestler we've ever seen. I think that's not arguable.
Like where I fall in love with Osprey is when he talks about how much he loves his son.
Yes.
That's where like I fall in love with it, and it's like, oh yeah, this is a guy. This is one of because like
Yeah.
he speaks about like how much he loves his son. I'm about to get a little bit teary, but like that like gives me like, I
Yeah.
could buy into this guy when he talks like that. But you don't see that part of him, that loving
Yeah.
part, the loving good boy part on TV. You just see like,
It's,
bro, I'm gonna
you know-
restore the feeling, bro.
Yeah, the big one for me is the psychology in the matches.
Yeah.
And like the Osprey versus Danielson is a fantastic match. It's unbelievable. But
The star was
it has that issue that I feel like every major Osprey match has where the psychology is an Osprey match.
Yeah.
It's not like adaptable where you kind of know the beats after a while. Like and it's not like, five moves of doom kind of beats. It's like he has emotional beats that he hits in a match that when you really see that disappear when he wrestles Kenny, in that, when he's getting his head driven into the announcer table and he's like beaten up so bad that he's like falling down and stuff. You don't see that in a regular Osprey match, but sometimes you'll see him like try to do it, like try to fake it, and it doesn't come across as correct.
Yeah.
And I think that's where like Hangman is so underrated in that he does that emotional, physical connection. And that's why the Hangman Swerve thing is so great, is that they both do that. They both find a way to make the crowd care. And they use the art form of wrestling. It's not just about the talking outside the ring. It's about what you're doing in the moment and how you're manipulating the audience into thinking and feeling moment to moment where they can't even process it because they're just living it.
Yeah.
That's what I think is the magic of pro wrestling. That's the feeling, right? And like, I don't know, it's tough to bring that back and bring that out. And I think that's what New Japan had in its heyday, and that's what it's been missing.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I'm so excited for guys like Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji, especially Tsuji, who's really seeming to find it now.
Him and Uemura had like,
Oh my God, yeah.
that match was, why wasn't that for the IWGP title?
That is my favorite match of the year so far.
Why are we wasting time with another ZSJ possible rematch? I'm like,
Oh my god.
no. Suji should have won the G1. Suji should have beat Naito at the Dome. Suji should be the champion since Tokyo Dome, and they would have been like, but no, he's holding the global title, which doesn't mean shit. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And you know, he's the kind of guy that could make that title mean something.
yeah,
But they have that issue where right now the main title doesn't mean a whole lot.
yeah.
So
So
it's kind of like
what's
I
the
love
point?
Goto and Goto's awesome, but like Goto isn't. They're not gonna go behind Goto in a way that establishes this title as something that's worth it.
Yeah, having
It's like the AEW belt's been in the mud since CM Punk, right?
I
And
I just don't take that belt. Like when Swerve was champion, it was kind of rebuilding that belt to something because Joe was a bump, MGF was a bum, and like before that, Moxley was like on like his third or fourth run as champion, so it was like kind of old hat already. So
yeah,
like
and that stuff was like Mox's first run with the title was great.
yeah, I still don't understand why Bryan had to beat Swerve. It doesn't make sense.
Well, that's what we're all going to be wondering for the next like handful of years until they
Yeah.
figure something out here,
Yeah.
because that's a Swerve was fixing that belt.
Yeah, he was, and then they still kind of booked him on top. Like I'm like, you had a Roman right there. That was a Roman, like a Roman
Yeah.
that's not like, I'll say like post 2020 Roman, where the audience just completely like were in with him.
Well, really,
'Cause-
what they should have done is we should be in the middle of like the third belt switch between Swerve and Hangman.
yeah, they should have been swapping the belt like
Right.
how Rock and Austin were always
Yes,
swapping it before.
that's what they had.
Yeah, and it's stupid. You think you're special, you do. I could see it in your eyes. Yeah, I always bring up like the whole thing I was saying is like Swerve should be champion. They should have bought the rights to that Limp Bizkit song, and he should be building that match for All In Texas. You know how
Well,
many
yeah,
you know how many Laps fans would come back just because of that song, and you have like
Yeah.
you have the producers there to make that music video, and with
Well,
that song.
I'm probably the best definition of casual wrestling fan until the pandemic.
Yeah.
In that, you know, like I told you, I was killed off of it by McMahon Wrestling,
Yeah,
and the video games kind of kept me in it. I would pop back in for some things, like I really liked the New Day when it started.
yeah,
I was really into the New Day, and I watched a bunch of their stuff. John Cena memes were funny, so occasionally I would watch stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Who else but
the
John
thing
Cena?
that really, yeah, the thing that really got me back was actually a YouTube video. Super Eye Patch Wolf did that video about pro wrestling stories.
Pro wrestling
And,
is more than pro wrestling. That's my surprise.
Yeah.
Oh,
And he did the video at the end where he talks about the Golden Lovers story.
yeah,
And so I was like, this seems cool. So I went and looked up just YouTube Kenny Omega. And one of the first things that popped up at the time, this is like early 2020, beginning of pandemic stuff, is that Kenny and Ibushi versus the Bucks in, what was it, in Florida or whatever, LA, wherever they were.
yeah.
And I watched that and I'm like, holy shit, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And that brought me back in really hardcore. I went back and watched like all of the New Japan stuff. I started watching AEW every week immediately. I was watching Dark all the time.
Yeah,
Like I just got really into it. And part of that was the pandemic and the time that we had and whatever.
yeah,
But it had that art, right? It felt like something fresh and new. And I was introduced to that Japanese style that became my favorite as like its own sort of unique art form. Because this is a lot of podcasters that you and I both listen to or listened to in the past. A lot of the discussion is the real sports feel, right?
yeah,
And I think that there's aspects of that are truly powerful. Like if I'm watching somebody like Okada, I feel like I'm watching like a sporting event.
yeah. When you hear
and I
like
feel
the
like-
people stomping their feet
Yes.
and clapping, and
Yeah.
like there's like a general energy like in like say like Saitama or
Yeah.
like Osaka Joe Hall, and you feel like the crowd
Yeah.
like rumbling. That's what I call the rumbling. Or if you
And I
watch
think-
Attack on Titan what the rumbling is. But
that's, that's a bit different. That's more McMahon style, but
yeah.
the the sports feeling where it feels like I'm watching a football game or something,
Yeah.
right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
But the thing that really keeps me in it is when the match itself is psychologically manipulating me in the same way that a film or a play or some sort of
Ooh.
drama would, right?
Yeah.
Where it's mixing that art form. It's like pro wrestling is ballet,
Yeah.
and if
Despite what
people like
some
to say
people
people used to say like soap opera for rednecks or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, it's like ballet. It's combat sports ballet,
Yeah.
and
It's
when it
theater.
really leans into that, and it presents itself as a sport, as like a match,
Yeah.
but it's very fake.
Here,
Like
I
it's probably the best.
I equate it because okay, so I feel like theater and pro wrestling are best taken in as a live event. Watching it on TV
Yeah.
is great. You see all these different angles, all this stuff. It's great. But when you experience it live, no matter where you are in the arena, and you're just seeing the ring, and you're seeing two people, gladiators come in, and they're gonna tear into each other. There's something visceral about that, and like when you're talking about being around the people and being surrounded, like when I had this question, I asked like where you say like, are you in the closet as a fan or are you out of the closet? And part of that is like when you're able to go to a live event and you're able to shed your outside skin, all your shame, all your regret, all your whatever about being a pro wrestling fan, all that's out the door, and you're surrounded by everybody that's just like you that loves all this stuff, and you're just able to let go and let your freak flag fly, and just be like, here I am, I'm here, hello, like it's like shout out to my family. I am not trying to be in any sort of way, derogatory. I'm saying like that's the thing to celebrate. To just be like, I'm
Yeah,
here. Like just
Yeah, I get it.
just like,
Yeah.
and like you could just like let go, and like you have all these other people also like just like clapping their hands, stomping their feet, going, yeah, hell yeah.
Doc, have you ever been to a pride parade?
Yeah, multiple.
It feels like being at pro wrestling, doesn't it?
Yeah, you got these costumes, you got music, you got
Like
body guys.
everybody's just
I'm a big body guy.
yeah, everybody's just happy and like celebrating the community and having a
Yeah.
good time.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's because I was in actually the same day. Do you know what happened the same day as Forbidden Door 2?
What's up?
Was the Toronto Pride Parade.
Hell yeah, man.
And I spent the morning hanging out at Pride, and then I went to Forbidden Door in the afternoon.
Hey,
And that was like a really cool day of just a bunch of different community and
yeah.
seeing a bunch of cool people and talking to people I've never met before, and that was a good time.
I'm gonna say this just because it's gonna be a non sequitur. So we do this a lot. I think we've had one of the most intelligent conversations about wrestling and about all this stuff. It's been extremely fun. I'm gonna tell this story. Growing up, I went to the Philippines when I was like I think 8 years old, right? And there was a pageant. It was called Miss Bakla, right? Bakla, of course, means gay in my language. And so I didn't think about it. I just saw like all these beautiful women like strutting on stage, and they're being celebrated. People are like cheering them on because this is their family members. Like so these like
It was like a drag show?
yeah, it's a beauty pageant, not a drag show, beauty pageant.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so like like this like these women are very respectful. These women are walking down and presenting, and they're they're beautiful. They're beautiful women. And like in my culture, like that's not seen as weird. It's just seen like as like something to like celebrate. Because beauty pageants are kind of like our basketball games, or like karaoke or ping pong. That's like the same kind of thing. Where Miss Universe is like the Super Bowl for the Philippines. And like so like that's been normalized to me. All that stuff like when I watch, and also stuff like I watched Kids in the Hall, and in Kids in the Hall they'd be routinely dressed in drag, but they wouldn't be presented as drag queens. They'd be presented as women, and I just accepted that because like the Office Lady sketch when they're all just like talking mess and they're all just doing that stuff. Like I accepted that, and it's I always like had for stuff like that, like RuPaul's Drag Race. I feel like if wrestling fans really and our friend, I'll give a screen name, Steven Spielberg. He's also like a very deeply into. Oh, sorry, they because they're non-binary. They're also very into like RuPaul's Drag Race, and there's a big crossover because my sibling, my sister, she was my brother, but now she's my sister. She also had a giant uh, fandom of like RuPaul's Drag Race, and like there's so much that's the same in there. You got your promos, you got your wrestling match, which is the lip sync for your life, and and you have like RuPaul as the the general manager, authority figure, and it's like I feel like
You even have the term work used in
yeah,
a very
work.
specific way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like you have that, and like people talk about masculinity and all that stuff. I'm like, all right, these dudes dress in drag and go out there and they become women and they become fully into the character that they're portraying, and that's pro wrestling.
Oh yeah.
That I feel and like what people love now. What do people love now? They love the entrance. That's the biggest thing for a lot of wrestling fans is the entrance. And what is it
Absolutely.
when these drag queens they slay the runway? That's their entrance. They come out with their own entrance music too, and they have their own little performance. So like when people like kind
At
of like
the
go ahead.
at at the fear of becoming too tunnel talk, I think that I would shout out Tunnel Talk, great podcast.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Listen to all
actually, you know
women.
what? Here's a little diatribe before I get to that point. Tunnel Talk is like the only wrestling podcast I've ever listened to where I feel like they actually discuss wrestling as art.
Yeah.
Like where
Yeah.
they actually discuss it in terms of like what its artistic merits are and what it's doing, compared to just like, well, who do you think's going to win this?
Yeah.
Or what do
'Cause
you think the backstage politics are here?
I
Right?
always
And that's
yeah.
yeah,
I always feel like you watch wrestling when you're at home, you watch it as a TV show or a movie because you're being put into a narrative. The sporting
yeah,
aspect is like just kind of like a theme. Like if I watch an anime like Hajime no Ippo or like Blue
mm,
Lock,
yeah,
sports is there, but you're getting into the story. You're not getting into like what the sports aspect is it adds it to the story. And I'm gonna equate it again to like theater. So I see the wrestling matches as like the musical renditions during the play. It like gets you to the next point in the story. But
absolutely. It's a storytelling device. Yeah.
yeah, and
And it's also happens to be the most entertaining part of the thing.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
like when I get into this, like people kind of like try to fight you. Like, no, it's just a fight. We're watching for a fight. Like so the fight builds up to the next fight, and then you also like listening to what they say to each other in these promos in between the fights, because like even New Japan, they have those promos between the fights to build up the fights, and those promos are so good. People should really go on there. I remember like I read one guy said, "I how can I get into New Japan because they don't have like any storytelling. It's just the matches." So I'm like, go to YouTube. Here are the promos, and then I gave it to that guy, and he's like, "Holy shit! How I did not know that Kenta was that good." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, this is why I watch pro wrestling is to see people talk shit. They go to the ring, and then they talk shit again, and like." I like that part. Like you're trying to get across who your character is, your motivations as a wrestler, what you want to accomplish, and what's the end goal. And like usually when people fall off, it's because like the end goal is not. You don't have to be obvious for an end goal, right? It doesn't have to be obvious where it ends. It just happens to be like built up to the point where people want to see how it ends. And when
Yeah.
people talk about like the John Moxley thing, it's like, holy crap! It should have ended a long time ago. There's no more interest in it, and I've
Or
been.
it should have just become good. That would have
It
been
should have
fine
been
too.
good. I don't.
Yeah,
Under,
that would
the
have been it
the
could
weird
just be good.
the weird part
Yeah.
is, like I posted a lot. I love Mox. I love Mox as a
Yeah.
performer. Like 2019 through even like 2024 Mox. Yeah, he had that match with Brian. That was
So
a great match with Brian. And then like after that, it's just like
here's maybe the issue, and I think this is the issue with American trained, American style, McMahon style wrestling in general,
yeah,
is at its worst, It's pretending that it's not homoerotic. And I think that Mox at his best is like pretty gay,
Dude,
right?
he
Like
kissed men on the mouth.
yeah. I think back to the Darby match in his first title run.
Yeah.
Remember that was like a fantastic match. Remember the end where he like didn't want to like murder Darby, and then Darby just forces him to do it.
Yeah.
And he like
kills him.
cradles his lifeless body at the end.
Yeah.
And he like kisses him on the forehead and walks
Yeah.
out. Like that stuff is like, it's like straight out of like a yaoi manga. Well, that's not true. Yaoi mangas are pretty rapey, but
Yeah,
it's like a straight out of like some like a fan fiction basically. And that style of like acceptance of just the unbridled romanticism, like in all aspects of the word romantic.
Yeah.
I think that stuff is there when wrestling is at its best. Like, and that's maybe the main issue with like when I watch matches in something like WWE, is that the matches feel rote and performed. They don't feel like they have any emotion. They don't have that romanticism. They
Because
don't have romance.
because they're so formulaic we're
Yeah.
rolling. Even in AEW, they have that.
Yes,
That
you can
that
feel it
same-
when the commercial breaks happen. And
Yeah,
stuff.
someone hits a plancha and you know, like it's not leading to
Yeah.
anything except for a commercial break, which
that
sucks.
was
That sucks. I used to like when you watched WCW before, right? Where Mysterio does a flip dive onto the guy, and then he throws him back in the ring and does another thing, and then he hits the West Coast pop and wins the match. I'm not sure how WCW was up there. I think people told me like
it was pretty popular, but
Okay.
honestly, not that popular.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of niche.
Yeah, so like that's how like they used to utilize like the tope, the planchas. It wasn't like okay, and we're rolling. We'll come
Yeah.
back to whatever. That used to be like a big move in the match, and then they could set up another big move, and like it would set up to go towards the finish because usually the big spectacular dive sets up the finish of the match.
Yeah.
Now it's like the mid-match commercial break go to. I miss the days when people would like lock on a headlock and they'd say, "We'll be right back, fans. If this match ends during the break, we'll show you the results." I miss
Yeah,
that.
that kind of stuff.
Like,
Yeah,
'cause-
EW even did that at the beginning.
yeah, I used to like that, like where like okay, we go to break and the match could end, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, why are we now like? Why is that now not a thing? Why are we saying, oh, we'll be right back to the match?
And yeah, that even that like pause in it, right? It disrupts the flow of something.
Yeah,
Earlier this year we had one of the best matches ever in the Kenny Gabe Kidd match at the Dome, right?
Kenny Merkley.
And yeah, well,
It was,
Kenny showed up because
it was
this is yeah.
oh man, it was like a massacre. I loved it.
It would not surprise me if I got Kenny in a room and I talked to him about this. We'd have very similar feelings about a lot of this. But
Yeah.
well, I don't know. Maybe that's my parasocial hopes coming in there. But when the part that I think makes the match so legendary is the ending when they hold Gabe Kidd up in front of Tanahashi and Tanahashi is crying.
Oh,
Because that encapsulated all of the emotion of the match and what the story of the match really was. Of like, this guy wants to represent New Japan, this guy used to represent New Japan, and the new guy's not even close to his level yet. Like, he's not there. And then the old guy is proving that he's still at that level that everybody thought that he had lost.
yeah.
And there's like such a deep story, and that's the romance that's needed, right? Of, romance in the traditional sense of the word isn't just, people fall in love and kiss. It's, adventure. It's
Yeah.
journeying into the unknown. It's the mystery, right?
One
And
of
that-
my
that-
favorite federations of all time, Wrestle and Romance.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not familiar with wrestling romance.
Yeah. It was a promotion started by Genichiro Tenryu. It was more
okay.
it was more along the lines of like sports entertainment, like as far as like doing storylines,
okay.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like they would like focus on like stuff like that. But yeah, go ahead and continue your point.
No,
I just found out
okay.
I just found an opportunity to say Wrestle and Romance and
I gotta look that up later.
Yeah.
But
Wrestle
the
Specters on YouTube.
the romance of that match is a man past his prime proving that he's still worth it, a man at the beginning of his window trying to say that he's here, and a man who's trying to save a company watching the best match that's happened in his company in years,
Yeah.
right? And those three things coinciding is what makes that match legendary. Like it's one thing to have an incredibly good match, like a match, the Osprey Omega 2, a
Yeah.
match the one in Toronto, a match that I'll never forget, a match that was so emotionally resonant and important to me. That is an example of a match that is not going to live in legendary, fame like the first Osprey Omega match
Yeah.
or that Omega Kid match, and that's because it doesn't have that level of, story going into it, and none of that story needed to be told to you, in the promos. But if you did watch the promos, they were fantastic.
Yeah.
It was just you turned it on, and as soon as he pulls down his pants and he has the lion mark, and you hear the pop from the crowd, you know what the match is about.
Yeah.
And as soon as Kenny comes out with his new theme song, where it's like the guy from Metal Gear Revengeance screaming about how he's a phoenix that's going to rise again, you're like, okay, I know what this match is about too. And this is what it's about. And then the ending with Tanahashi crying because he is us, and he just watched something that was so amazing, and he's not going to forget this, and he's in tears, being thankful to these people, like specifically to Gabe for representing that company that is his life
Yeah.
and his legacy. Like that stuff, that's the romance that pro wrestling needs to be art.
Yeah.
And that is what I feel like most American companies have lost in favor of commercialism, chasing the dollar, chasing the rating number, chasing whatever, right?
Yeah. I equate it to, everybody sees the GIF of like GIF. GIF, where are you on the GIF and GIF?
I usually say GIF because it makes my students angry.
Oh yeah. So I say GIF also because it makes people angry. I pissed off Brent when I told them GIF. I also pissed off Numbers when I said GIF. They said no, it's GIF.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, whatever. And so that GIF of like GIF of Citizen Kane, right? The clapping.
Yeah.
That was the equivalent of Tanahashi. Like they show him at the end, just like clapping, tears bursting.
Absolutely.
And like this is what I see when people say pro wrestling is cinema. That's cinema.
Yeah.
And like, man, it's this is wild. I want to thank you for coming on to my show, man. It's been such a great learning all of this with you and sharing all of this with you.
I've really enjoyed it. I've had these thoughts for years, and it's hard to type them on Discord, so it's nice to talk to somebody.
Like being able to talk to somebody. Like this is the whole thing about my show, right? Is you're not watching right now, but we're talking, and you're like absolutely loving pro wrestling right now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're falling in love again. I tend to do that. I tend to make people fall in love with me. It's so like it's just this is my whole mission is just like we're all people. We all love this stuff, even if we don't watch it anymore. We still love it, and this.
Oh yeah.
And like I have going back to those feelings of like I this is where I felt at my peak as a fan and trying to, like we were talking with Will Ospreay. All he ever says is restore the feeling, bro. And like you can never restore the feeling because the feeling.
But you can make a new feeling.
You can make new feelings. That's why I don't want to restore the feeling. I want to say. I can't even. There used to be. They don't even have a phrase for it anymore. It's like making memories, making something, say something else. And like this is my era. Like I'm like
my dream in wrestling is that one day there's a wrestler that I love more than Kenny Omega.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
that's gonna happen, right? It's inevitable.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I didn't think there would be a wrestler for me after like Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels, Rey Mysterio, Stone Cold, and then here comes Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
Here comes Batista. I know, like we talked a little bit of mess about him, but I love John Cena as a performer.
Oh, John Cena's great. I don't have an issue with John Cena.
I love John Cena.
I have an issue with the system around John Cena.
Yeah. Like those three guys. I love them. Those are like I'll call them the modern this century. Those three: Batista, Cena, Bryan, all either like Tanahashi, Nakamura. Those five. Those are my five. Like those guys are like my favorite workers wrestlers, and because they always have something about them that drove an emotion out of me where I had to see them work. When I watch now, there's a couple of guys that bring that out of me. There's Swerve, just
Yeah,
personality
definitely.
wise. In ring, you know,
Swerve.
he's
When
great.
he is in ring with somebody else, that's amazing. He'll have one of the best matches of the
Yeah,
year, and
yeah,
that's all you need.
that's all you need. But his personality, his swagger, his fashion, what he represents as the culture, it's like unmatched.
Swerve is like the coolest pro wrestler
Yeah,
maybe ever.
yeah, it's so crazy why you wouldn't keep your belt on him and make him your franchise. It's so
Yeah.
crazy. And like my favorite wrestler is Bryan Danielson, and like Bryan Danielson beat him, and I was so pissed off. I was like, that's my favorite wrestler, but the
Yeah.
reason that he's my favorite wrestler is because he's so giving, so unselfish, and he's willing to go in there and die and keep going and keep going.
Yeah.
So him
Well, it's like
winning,
I'm really looking forward to the day when I get the Kenny versus Swerve
Yeah.
singles match and Swerve beats him,
yeah,
which will happen.
yeah, that's
Right,
what that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted that to
Yeah.
happen. I was like, okay, here's a guy. They're both from Washington. They're meeting up. They both kind of have a little bit of the same like upbringing,
Yeah.
Indies, WWE to AEW, and then like it's like, no, it's still not your time, brother. It's still his time. And like last week we saw Zach Gowen got brought back to
Yeah.
AEW TV. Zach Gowen, like we're talking like 2003 era like wrestlers,
Yeah.
and like it's just like, okay, I'm a fan of Zach Gowen. His story is inspirational. I love that. I'm a fan of the Hurt Syndicate. I love Shelton. I love Bobby. I love MVP. But like, there comes a time where you have to move on, where you have to
Absolutely.
find like who's going to be the people that are carrying the business now. We can't be in the Adam Copeland era as like Tony Khan said. We have
Yeah.
to move on from the Adam Copeland era, and he said this in 2023. This is the Adam Copeland era, and
Yeah.
like he was so prophetic with those words, and we still are here.
Yeah.
And like Mox is doing his best impression of Triple H, and
Ugh.
it's just
Wow.
people say it's like it's like he's trying to be Roman, but no, Roman was actually an engaging character. He cut
Absolutely.
those promos. He had those people around him. All ships rose with him. Like the
I have,
Usos, Solo,
I've
Sammy,
seen-
they all
I
rose
saw-
with Roman.
I saw Roman versus AJ Styles live at a house show, and it was a legitimately great match.
Yeah,
Like that's different than what Moxley's doing.
yeah.
Doc,
So
can you give me a minute here? I
Yeah.
just gotta run off for a second. I'll be right back.
I know I made these comments earlier about Okinawans and Japanese, and before like native people to Japan. I was talking about the Ainu people who are in northern Japan. Hina
I
Hina.
love that you set that up like it was a retraction or an apology.
I always,
Yeah.
I always have this voice, this apologetic voice, because I really do want to make sure that people aren't forgotten about. And
You know, when I was living in China, in China it's the Han is the majority, right? There's
Yeah.
like 97%, 99%, something like that, Han.
yeah,
So I lived in Chongqing, hence the screen name. And actually, Chongqing Blues is a movie starring Fan Bingbing that was filmed in Chongqing. And that was like, when I was there, that was like their claim to fame outside of like Hogwa, Hot Pot.
I love Hot Pot.
Hot Pot's the best.
I love
Actually,
mala
had some
flavor.
A couple days ago. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that's what I had a couple days ago.
Oh, good job,
But
man.
I love Sichuan style, like Chongqing, like numbing spice, like that kind of stuff is just really good.
Yeah.
But I had a friend in Chongqing who she was ethnic minority, and she looked like Canadian First Nations, like that. That's kind of what the facial structure was like, and the skin
Yeah.
and everything. And it was kind of shocking, like because you don't really think that when you think Chinese. And one day, my buddy came up to me and he was like, "Hey, do you think she's attractive?" And instantly, I was weirded out because it's his girlfriend. I was like,
Oh,
well, yeah, man.
it,
I'm like,
it,
I don't know how to answer this, but the answer is yes.
is this a we
Yeah,
like your vibe situation?
yeah. I was wondering, right? But I was like, yeah, she's very attractive. And he's like, I appreciate you saying that because all of my friends and all of my Chinese friends say that she's hideously ugly.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what the hell? And it just, that's, it's that kind of thing where
Yeah,
that homogenization, it's tough for us to understand or get it, even
yeah,
with all the horrible racism that goes around in
yeah.
our countries.
Because we like also in the Philippines we do have the native people there. We call them the Gorots because they have the curly hair, they have big flat noses, and they have, they're black, they're dark skinned.
Yeah.
And like when you see them depicted on TV, it's usually like in like a mocking term, which still sucks. It sucks.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, I always give like props to all of our First Nations people, Indigenous people, our BIPOC people, because like uh, to be living in a place that gets taken over by people, because like look, time is a flat circle. What happens before
Yeah.
happens again, and
Yep.
that's how it happens. Crush can, and then it's like, dude, I wish that people would see this kind of stuff and like learn about like what it means to be in a homogenous community. Because like even Jackie Chan does not look like your typical Chinese person
Nope.
because he's dark skinned. Well, what they present as like beautiful. I think what happened back like when Shang-Chi came out was, do you think
Ah.
that Simu Liu is like attractive? Some if we go by like Western standards, like he's a handsome guy, really muscular, ripped, pretty funny, you know.
Yeah, Simu Liu is one of our great Canadians.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I met him before. He's a really nice
Wait,
guy.
really?
Yeah, well,
Oh, that's kind of cool.
he wasn't like a big actor when I met him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
He was
yeah.
like just on like those Wong Fu videos. If people don't know, Wong Fu is an Asian American production company that makes shorts on YouTube that were usually like cheesy, like little mini romantic movies. Check it out. And like, so like, just like they were doing polls on like if people found them attractive or found like Aquafina attractive, and like it was all like no. And like you go back even, and it's just like kind of weird because if you go back to the standards, like Michelle Yeoh, like is beautiful, right?
Absolutely.
If Michelle Yeoh was in modern China, she's not Chinese films. She's not going to be seen as a bombshell. She's just going to be seen as a, why does her nose look like that? Why is she so tanned? Why is
Mm.
and it's like modern Asian aesthetics is even like in the Philippines, even like in India, it's the same thing. The anglicized nose and light skin. That's like the number one look for, and like it's just like, and then like you add in centuries of colorism to it, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
and like it's just like because my wife told me that she wouldn't be drinking chocolate milk because her mom told her she was gonna be dark if she drank it.
Wow.
And like that's funny. Like I'm not laughing because it's funny, but I'm laughing because like it's uncomfortable. I
Yeah.
like to like think about like this, like okay, because I'm dark, right? There's no way I'm not gonna be dark. So people are like Filipinos, like in Asia, we're more seen like as servants or
Yeah.
maids or like
Yeah.
people who work at like lower end jobs. Same with like
Yeah. On the
South
farms all
Asians.
day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same with South Asian people. They're also seen like that and people from Africa. They go to Asia and they work these menial jobs. So like the stereotype for us there is that we're low. What's that? We're low on the totem pole as far as class goes. We're the low class people, and so to tie low class to dark skin, that's just how colorism works, and like it creates it's a whole thing. And then the homogeny and the ideal Asian look is the light skin. The the nose bridge, the double eyelids, all that stuff. And like some people like get all that done artificially. More power to them if they want to do that. But like I just commenting like on how the aesthetics work, it sucks, man. Because I'm sure that girl that you were talking about, your friend's girlfriend, aesthetically to you, she's beautiful. She's
Oh
pretty,
yeah,
she's
it
cute.
looked like the cartoon Pocahontas. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, my God, like
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
I do
But,
not watch. I do not goon to cartoons. Okay, I'm not a cartoon gooner. I want that to be known.
Okay, don't
But
lie,
did
Doc.
you
Don't lie.
watch Wreck-It Ralph 2 where they showed the CGI version of Pocahontas though? Yo,
I did watch Wreck-It Ralph too. It was bad,
yeah,
but yes, I remember that with the princesses and
yeah, yeah. The Pocahontas was. Anyway,
yeah.
um, yeah,
Doc wants romance. Doc, you want romance back into podcasts?
yeah, I put the R in. So like the R in the prescription, which is what I call the name of this podcast, is for romance. The
there we
W
go.
is for I don't know what the W stands for, but it definitely doesn't stand for wrestling. Uh, I just when it comes to like colorism,
The
classism,
W stands for Wumbo.
Wumbo, yeah, you gotta turn it to Wumbo so that you can turn back to normal. Did you
Yeah.
turn it back to Wumbo? I'm gonna say this joke, okay? Because like, so me and my wife and my wife's little sister, my little sister-in-law, I love her. I made a joke like, because I'm dumb, my wife's always the nice and happy one, and the sister-in-law, she plays clarinet and is always like grumpy.
Oh.
So like, I got my wife a birthday cake one year where it had like SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward and Gary because we have a dog and Gary
Yeah.
is the pet. And I always pointed like right at the Squidward and I said, "Hey sis, look, it's you." And she's like, "Oh, I am Squidward." So it's just I just wanted to put that little thing in there. Yeah, SpongeBob. It's
Yeah.
I love SpongeBob. One of my favorite like little just turn it on in the background and just
Oh,
let
yeah.
the
One of
stupidity
one of the
play on.
best.
It's just unabashed joy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what, man? I'm gonna bring this up because one of the big TV shows that just came out, well, seasons that came out this year was season 3 of White Lotus, and they had talked about the white man in Asia, and you were a white man in Asia, but there's a difference. There's a stark difference because they said like we call them losers back home, right? That was the phrase, losers back home. Because these guys go to Asia, they find a woman. If they go to like say China or like the Philippines, Thailand, Laos,
Yeah.
Thailand, freaking Vietnam, they always like go to like find like some village person who comes from like a poor family where they have to pay a dowry to get this girl, and then they're gonna marry this girl that's like 40 years younger than they are. And that's why they're
Yes.
called losers at home because they have to do this in order to find somebody to be their partner.
This is incredibly common in real life. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, because like I have white uncles. I have uncles of different races, and I never got that vibe from them. I don't get that vibe
No,
from
it's
you.
just like everything. That it's like, see, those are the people that you never really meet too often, though, right? Because
Yeah. Those are
like
the
in China, you would meet a lot of people like this.
yeah.
Because to stay your whole life in China, you have to be a really certain kind of person. Like dealing with the system, dealing with, just the way banking works, like all of
That's
that is
crazy, man.
just, if you are willing to deal with that longer than a year or two, you are built different.
Yeah.
And that is the kind of thing that I could totally understand.
Yeah, because
Um,
we
like that's where the weirdness comes from.
yeah. Also, like in this whole in this whole diaspora of like Asian Americanness, and like judginess, right? People will see you bring home your wife and think like she's a green card wife, and I think that's
So
fucked up.
I've actually never had that because my wife and I met in Vancouver.
That's great. No, like I know that's great.
Yeah.
And I know Vancouver is also there's a high Asian population, and I know
Yeah.
like, and I never, me personally, I never judge couples for what they were. Whatever race you're dating, it doesn't matter. Whatever, love happens. It doesn't matter to me. A lot of the times that I see like when I looked online and like these, they call them MRAs, that's men rights Asians, is like they'll
Woof.
always,
Oh man.
yeah. I'm talking Asian masculinity. That's also a
Oh
Reddit.
yes. Okay. Yeah. I've had a
Uh,
couple students that have talked to me about that stuff.
yeah. So like the thing is, whereas I brought this up in a previous show about like how the white people got mad at Asian people, like Filipinos particular, for dating white women so that they're going to steal them, just like they got mad
Ah.
at black people for trying to steal white women and all that stuff. Um, it's the same thing where now these angry incels, you're Elliot Rogers of the world, right?
Yeah.
If people don't know Elliot Rogers, I'm gonna tell you the little story. He's a mixed boy. He had these mental issues. Aesthetically, he was conventionally an attractive person, but mentally he was broken. And like he had this credo about how he shouldn't be alone, and he was angry that his Asian roommates had girlfriends and he didn't. So he went on a murder spree that included killing a bunch of innocent girls and his roommates who he was jealous of because they were Asian and had girlfriends, and he was Asian and he didn't have a girlfriend. And I just like in those spaces, like in the MRA spaces, the Asian masculinity, it would be like you're judging this Asian girl for dating a white guy because why is she dating a white guy? Because she should be dating an Asian guy? Why are you claiming ownership of this Asian person and their, because everybody has their own sovereignty, everybody has their own free will. Why are you judging this couple for what they are? And it's disgusting to me. Like, it's absolutely disgusting. That goes on to say that there are some Asian girls, not saying that your wife because your wife's Japanese, but like, there are some Asian American people who grew up like, I'm going to bring her up, Shay Mitchell. Okay, Shay Mitchell. She never brought up that she was Filipina at all in anything of her stuff, which is strange because if you bring up your Filipino, all the Filipinos will ride with you and like say they'll support you in everything you do. I guess she just recently revealed she was Filipina and revealed that she hated that side of herself and never wanted to be seen as that.
Oh,
And
that's bad.
and that's sad, right? Because like Vanessa Hudgens, she proud Filipina. Like Olivia Rodrigo, proud
Mm.
Filipina. Like and like the thing about
I've
Shay,
yeah, I've noticed a lot of like weird fetish content coming from Asian people online. Like, because it's one thing
yeah,
if it's like because what you get a lot is the yellow fever stuff, right?
yeah.
Like white people fetishizing Asians on both sides. Actually, it's kind of common for white women to fetishize
Yeah,
Asian men these days.
especially thanks to BTS.
Yes, exactly.
My little cousin sure cleaned
Um,
up because of that stuff.
that's pretty funny.
Yeah,
But so that kind of stuff is fairly common. But I've been noticing now a lot of people like posting like weird Instagram reels or something. They're discussing like what it's like to date an Asian girl or something like weird and gross like that.
yeah. I also
And
saw that like what it's like being with my Asian boyfriend. It's like a weird
yeah,
fetishization of Asian people, like where like why can't we just be normal, guys?
yeah,
I like I don't I like there is like I was going back to it like there is like some people who don't value themselves and like because there was this comedian who used to make jokes about like how she was Asian, but she always wanted to have like a kid with a white guy so that her kids will be half normal and half weird. Of course, the weird side is being Asian, and like having
yeah.
that kind of propagated against like people are like Asian is other, Asian is not cool, and now being in this world where everything Asian is seen as like what's in vogue, what's chic, what's cool. It's like it's like a whole turnaround that you saw in like 20 years. It took 20 years for this to happen.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it took more than 20 years. It took like centuries. It was like centuries of Asians in media for this to happen. But like to see this growth of go from like, you know, Asian people being this, even I'll include South Asian people because South Asian people also recently had that rise because of stuff like RRR, this,
Yeah, definitely.
and like, I love Indian women are beautiful. I gotta say it. Anyway, like there's, I mean, all women are beautiful. All of you. You're all queens. You're all queens. Every
Very
shape,
true.
size, whatever. You're all queens. And like, I just wanna say like, I hate when I hear those stories of people who didn't value themselves because, and then they try to attain value by putting themselves next to whiteness, and that is a thing that happens, and it's sad. Attaining status just because your partner is white, and that happened with Nick Jonas, and I'm forgetting her name, and that's very disrespectful, but like yeah, they were saying like that Nick Jonas was like the prize for this Indian actress who's like one of the biggest Indian actresses. Like people are gonna kill me for this for not knowing her name.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. No, it's not Padma Lakshmi. That's the Top Chef lady. But anyway, just like that, the power of white, right? And
Yeah.
the power of whiteness. Whiteness is a construct created by society. It's not necessarily the fault of white people that white exist as a you guys have this status of being white, the white privilege, all
Well,
that.
it is white people's fault for propagating it and continuing that.
Yeah, and then you guys are also in these positions of powers to present whiteness as the ultimate, like, because whenever we think of like the modern Canadian, the ultimate American, it's a guy with blonde hair and blue eyes who espouses
Yeah.
like this white
That was
guy.
yesterday. I went to go see Thunderbolts,
Oh yeah,
which was a shockingly good movie.
I liked it.
It's the first time in a while that Marvel's produced something good.
Yeah, there's actual heart
but
to it.
exactly, right? But there was that really good, like, subtle scene where when the corporate control comes over the Sentry, they make him dye his hair blonde,
Oh yeah,
right? And like that stuff is like we all know it,
yeah,
right? But since they don't smack you on the head with it, I wonder how many people didn't quite pick that up.
yeah. You're gonna appeal to more people with this hair, with this look.
Yeah.
And like, it was supposed to be Steven Yeun in that role,
Yes.
which I think
Yes.
would have been really interesting. What's interesting to me is this guy is kind of doing a Steven Yeun impression.
He kind of is.
Yeah,
Actually.
dude, like the way he's
yeah.
talking, it's like when you're watching. Well, if I'm closing my eyes, I think I'm watching Invincible.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I don't know if anybody else got it because Invincible is kind of like the same Superman-ish character.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Um,
So, well,
so-
there's comics have a history of
Yeah.
the Superman, but not perfect, right?
Yeah, because Superman is supposed to be Jewish.
Yes.
He's always whenever like there's a Superman, he's always has like racial ambiguity. Like Dean Cain was a Superman. The guy in Smallville also like he was racially ambiguous, kind of. You didn't know like because he was tan, he had that kind of like features like whatever, or like. But then like it goes to Henry Cavill and the new guy. I love the new guy. The new guy looks so. He looks like Superman. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, he
movie.
does. He looks like he walked out of a comic. They did a
Yeah.
pretty good job there.
But yeah, just trying to appeal to broad appeal. When people hear broad appeal, they mean white person. When people there's still that thing of, does this play in Kansas? Does this play in Nebraska?
Ah,
And
yes.
like, even though we're in a world now where like there's so many Asian stars, and I named a couple of them: Simu Liu, Aquafina. I know people hate him, but Ken Jeong, I like Ken Jeong. He's funny. To me,
People
he's
hate
funny.
Ken Jeong. Oh, I guess because he's probably done this scene stick for a while, right?
Yeah, but like, it's just like you kind of just like have to accept where you see people at, and there's still like this part of people in power because they're still old that sees othering, and that's why we see this rise of anti-woke, where we see people say like, I want my heroes to be white and men. I don't want to see movies about women. And the thing about Thunderbolts that I like is, like, you know, Yelena, I forget her name, she played Paige.
Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
She's pretty much she's the front of the poster. She's the main actress.
Yeah.
And it's a
She's very
successful
much the
movie.
main character. Yeah.
And like she holds the movie together. And like there's the big thing about that like made my heart like grow two sides that day is like the father-daughter relationship she had with Red Guardian.
Yeah.
Like it's such a sweet relationship. But like she keeps going between calling him dad and Evgeny, but like eventually it's just dad. And like I think, and like he plays into it. Like he like really loves his role as a dad, because he remember, like, if you watch like Black Widow, like when you see them as a family, they're really a family. He's really in that role because he was their dad when they were that old, when they were that age. It's just, yeah, man. It's like I really like Thunderbolts, and I haven't said that about a Marvel movie forever. Captain America New World was okay. It was okay, but like I didn't like.
That was the only one I've really enjoyed in a long time was Guardians 3.
Yeah, I love Guardians 3 because that whole series of Guardians is separate from everything else.
Oh yeah. But this is by far the one I've enjoyed the most outside of Guardians movies since like the Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Also, because Bucky is also like everybody loves Bucky.
Yeah.
He's a cool character, and then like now he has his sense of humor back that he had in Captain America 1. Because in Captain America 1, the whole drive of the story was like Bucky and Steve have this friendship, and like Bucky like is always like talking shit. It's like he's a big brother to Steve, and like it feels like that kind of relationship. And so to have that kind of Bucky back, it rules.
There's that good bit, like people really dogged on that Falcon and Winter Soldier show, but I thought it was actually trying something and it was pretty good. Like how Bucky was choosing to encounter people that were affected by his assassinations.
Oh yeah.
And trying to, that was his therapy, or trying to help them in some way or do something, right?
He was never gonna make good, but he was just trying to reach out for.
And for them to build on that, showing him pretty put together, respected, not only as a hero but as a elected official.
Yeah.
And how he can now be that stabilizing presence for this group of people going through the same thing he did. Like that's a really cool idea.
I mean,
I don't know. I'm actually excited for Marvel movies again, which is wild.
I also really liked Wyatt Russell as U.S. agent.
He's Wyatt Russell. I remember when the show came out, people were kind of not that into him, but he's kind of proven himself to be a great actor and a great star since then. So
his action scenes were he's doing his own like fight scenes too, his own choreography. So it's like he's pretty sick.
He's tapping into his dad's charisma.
Yeah, he talks like his dad. When he wears the helmet, he has his dad's jaw.
Oh yeah, he has the same. Yeah, he has that like that Big Trouble in Little China kind of drawl.
Yeah, so it's just like, and I also like Common, what's her name? The Ghost. She's really good in there. I know they. Okay, I'll do spoiler alert. We're talking. It came out, whatever. Like they put Taskmaster all over the posters, and she just dies.
Yeah.
She just gets shot in the head by a ghost, and that's it.
I mean, it's like the first 5 minutes of the movie, so it's okay to spoil that.
Yeah. I think they posted the first 5 minutes, so that's already spoiled. But
there you go.
It's just like that movie is like what people love about like movies, as far as like action movies is, and having an ensemble is like seeing that group of people become family. That's what made Guardians of the Galaxy so. I mean, the soundtrack is great. But like the whole family aspect of that, like of them becoming a crew and becoming like trusting each other, and that's the same thing that happened in. I was about to call it Expendables and Thunderbolts, because they also have a really good soundtrack, honestly.
Yeah, the bit at the end. Maybe I shouldn't spoil the end bit, but there's a musical cue at the end that is really, really well done.
Yeah.
And but that is actually, I think Thunderbolts is a good lesson in how, when it's done properly, long-term booking works. right?
Yeah.
In that the only character that's established there is Bucky, and he is used to get over the other characters.
Yeah.
Like he gets you in the theater, he gets you invested in the story, but in reality, it's not his story. He's there to support these other guys.
Yeah. And if you
And
didn't watch the TV shows or you didn't watch Black Widow, you don't. Yeah, honestly, I don't think you need to after watching this movie.
no, you didn't miss anything. You could just pick it up and be like, oh, I like these guys now.
Yeah.
And if they do it right, they would just push them going forward. Now, the issue is that they're going to have the same problem that our wrestling promotions have, is that they're bringing back all the old stars.
Oh yeah. They're bringing them back for because like
Yeah,
there's
they're
Fantastic
even
Four
bringing
coming
back.
out, and
Actually,
then
Marvel is like, it is AEW right now, isn't it?
yeah, they're trying to they tried it with their new guys. It didn't hit, so now they're bringing in the
Yeah,
old guys from
they
before.
have new guys that are worth following, but they're choosing not. Well, I guess it's kind of too late for them to pivot, right? But
Yeah.
the big one for me is they're bringing back the X-Men that nobody liked.
Why are you doing Patrick
Like they're
Stewart
bringing
and
back,
Ian McKellen? Like they're
yeah,
ancient.
like
Michael
nobody
Fassbender?
wants the 80-year-olds. Nobody wants like James Marsden as Cyclops. Like, what is this? I don't. It is like watching
Yeah.
TK push Edge, right? It's
Yeah.
the same thing. It would be nice to have them there to say goodbye or whatever,
Yeah.
but you don't want them like at the forefront. You don't want them starring.
I would have liked to have seen Fassbender and McAvoy act opposite Robert Downey Jr. because I don't think they've ever all been in one movie together.
No, they haven't.
That would have been like
Yeah.
really interesting and like
Well, that's like I guess the draw of this one and what they're doing now is
I mean we
like,
might see them. You never know.
you'll probably get like Tobey Maguire, Hugh Jackman, and Robert Downey Jr. in one scene,
Yeah.
right? That's probably like the draw that they're doing. But that's like, you're cashing in for that one scene, and you'll make $1 billion off of it.
Yeah.
But is that worth, the future?
I don't know.
And probably not.
Yeah. I think
Similar to how like, is it gonna be awesome when Edge and Christian win the tag team championships? Yeah, we'll all enjoy that.
yeah.
Is that worth it? Maybe not,
See.
unless it's like a 2-month run in a retirement kind of situation.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
What I liked about Deadpool and Wolverine is that it was still a Deadpool movie.
Absolutely.
It was centered around Deadpool, and Wolverine was like there to help the narrative of like Deadpool meets his hero and like wants to make his hero like feel like the hero that he thinks he is, that he believes he can be. Like that's the
Yeah.
whole crux of it. It's not like this is Wolverine's story or this is just Deadpool's story. It's Deadpool and Wolverine, but it's centered on Deadpool. And they save the world together. It's just you, and that's a good way to use like Hugh Jackman is in that kind of form, but to make him a part of like whatever war worlds this is going to be. I'd rather see it be Henry Cavill as Wolverine because that'd be way cooler. Maybe it will be. Who knows?
Or just find somebody we never met before, like when they found Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
It's not that easy.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
it's worth a
I know
try.
people hate him, but Tom Holland was like a find when they found him.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, Tom Holland was a find. Like, Jacob Kabatala. I can't say his last name. How embarrassing is that? I can't say a Filipino guy's last name. But yeah, finding him, that dude, I love his show Reginald the Vampire, because like he's completely
never seen
subverting like dude, I love vampire stuff, right? And I'm always gonna support Filipinos, but so seeing a fat vampire and it's called Reginald the Fat Vampire, and like he's drinking blood, but he's sprinkling the blood on like pancit and lumpia and adobo.
Oh, that
and
rules.
eating. So like he's also
That's really
representing for
good.
like the Filipinos, Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, they will. Okay, I'm gonna dip my lumpia in this blood. All right, cool. So anyway, like finding these young actors and like or unknowns, like even Jonathan Majors, it sucks what happened. It sucks that he got revealed as a piece of crap.
Well,
But
yeah.
finding like these like raw talents and putting them on, that's what we should be doing to make these movies. That's how you got Loki and Thor. That's how you got those two. And I'm blanking on their name. Chris Hemsworth and blank.
Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston. That's how you got those two, and that's
Yeah.
how they became A-listers, is thanks to the movies. But they're not doing that anymore.
No. Well, it's like the comics. When you give a fresh writer a chance, that's when you usually get the best comics ever.
Yeah, I do love when they finally gave Bendis the ball. I like Brian Michael Bendis. I like him.
He's very hit or miss for me, but his early stuff is
Yeah, like that's what I'm talking about.
unquestionably
When they
amazing.
gave him the ball first, when he came up,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then he got milked for all of his worth, and now he's like creatively drained, and it's just like like Jim Lee. Jim Lee had those big hits in like the 80s and the early 90s, and then like the X-Men that we know and love from the cartoon, those are Jim Lee's X-Men.
Oh, absolutely. That's all his designs.
Yeah, so it's like, man, I love this. Now we're talking, but and I just love that we can talk about all this stuff and we never would have talked about it if we never met on a wrestling Discord.
Absolutely. Right?
Yeah, and like we started talking about the education system in America, and now we're talking about comic books, and that's rules. It's like, man, this show has reignited my love for a lot of things, and personally, like, just talking to people and talking to you and talking to everyone I talk to, it just like it hits different than when you're just typing. It's
Absolutely,
different.
yeah.
When you get to know somebody like on a deeper personal level and just like share these stories. I always say, like, there's two kinds of history. There's a written history and there's an oral history. And what I'm doing with this show is providing an oral history with this person that I'm talking to. And getting to know your stories is like, that's great, man. You're passing down these stories, and your story will live on in whatever digital form. Now you know that somebody knows your story of like working in China and South Korea as a teacher, and your story as being a teacher, and how you're married to a Japanese woman, and this is all cool to get out there, and this is just like, I gotta thank you, man.
No, thank you, Doc. I told you a while ago, but I think this is one of the coolest ideas I've seen for a wrestling podcast project. And this idea of like letting people get out there and speak their reality, like something I really value, because I feel like it's not valued enough in academia is lived experience.
Yeah.
And valuing, lived personal accounts of things as just as important as, quote unquote proven or accepted accounts.
Yeah.
And especially one of our hobbies, wrestling, is dominated so much by specific voices. And wrestling doesn't understand how lucky it is that one of those voices, or the main voice for a long time, was Dave Meltzer. Because imagine if you didn't have him out there pushing non-American wrestling onto the audiences.
Yeah.
And having an actual journalistic standard that he held himself to when reviewing and writing and reporting. Like if the entire wrestling fandom in the 80s and 90s was, I don't want to name or anything, but like the YouTube wrestling community, we would be in such a horrible place. Like I can't even imagine how dead of a hobby this would be. Artistically, even just in terms of like who the wrestlers are and what they became, and the generations of people that came up.
I'm never gonna support Wrestle Talk. I'll say the names. Wrestle Talk, Cultaholic. No, Simon Miller. I like Simon Miller.
Yeah, actually, I like Simon Miller too.
Yeah. So, but What Culture, Wrestle Talk, Cultaholic. I know you guys are all British, but like, ugh. That's my opinion on them. Ugh.
Yeah, it's like, imagine if film didn't have intense criticism, in its golden age, which you're looking at, the 60s into the 70s, when film really started to become what we think of today, right? And if it didn't have intense criticism and, really strong writing and reviewing from major media outlets, it never would have evolved into the art form it is.
Yeah.
And wrestling has that issue where there's only been one legitimate voice for a very long time. And now in recent years, we've had people popping up. Like, I feel like, I like to rag on them, but the Joe Lanzas of the world,
Yeah.
people like that started paving the way for people like your Rich Lattas and your Trish and Sarahs and your James Boyds and all of these people that I feel like are picking up the torch from Dave, who really is kind of past his prime and cooked and whatever you want to say.
I'm ready for the torch, brother. It is
Yeah.
what I think of the torch.
Yeah. I think that we need more people out there. And you, Doc, you getting out there and not only just applying your voice, but allowing fans and your friends and whoever to just go out there and talk about wrestling. I think we need more of that kind of stuff to legitimize and value the lived experiences of all different types of fans.
Yeah, man. I thank you for that, man. I always tell everybody how honored I am to have them on, because like when you share your story with me, I have this issue where I feel things a lot, right? Where like
that's not an issue. That's a good thing.
Like I feel for the people that I'm talking to. If I feel someone that's in pain, or if I feel someone like, if somebody has an issue with me, it hurts me because I don't want there to be any smoke. I just want there to be, I want there to be harmony, and like that's what I thrive on, is like just having this thing. And I know like my online persona is that of someone that I'm not even combative. You know me, I'm not combative. I'm just saying a lot of non sequiturs. But like to get to like the meat of the matter, who I am as a person, I don't feel like how you are as a person is fully conveyed in your text chains and anything like that. In order to fully tell someone's story, you have to hear it from them themselves, because text doesn't convey intent, text doesn't show emotion, text is just text. But I do love reading books. You should go to your libraries. You should go read books. You should go order books, because reading is good. Reading is beneficial.
Well, reading and writing in long form is way different than sending text messages to friends.
But I'm just saying, and like there's stuff you can watch on like YouTube and stuff that's very educational, and like, because me, I have trouble seeing now, so like I'm like getting my knowledge through like audio books on tape, which I know people say that's not really reading, but like I can't.
No, it's perfectly legitimate. Like
I can't stare at a screen for so long because like my eyes are like, I'm getting old, man.
Audiobooks are real, and anybody that says otherwise is just like insecure.
Yeah. But like, yeah, man, it doesn't matter to me if you're like one of the biggest podcasters in the world, if you're a huge YouTuber, if you're just some random from, like Scarborough, or like some, I'm specifically naming someone. I really just like, I appreciate anybody who comes on here and you have to be brave. You have to be brave, because like when I first started, I'm just recording. I'm just nobody. But I have to realize, like, because I send out, I'm gonna break kayfabe. Okay, so I always send out this specific show format to people just to show them what my show is, right?
Yeah.
I make it less intimidating by saying like you only have to do like 5 to 15 minutes. That's all I ever need you for, and like, it's never been under 20 minutes. It always goes Broadway, and like I always feel like once people start talking and they get comfortable and they just settle in, and it's just like we reach each other. That's what I feel like we're doing. We're reaching each other, and it goes on to say, man. You talked about hot pot and all that. I love hot pot. I love this. So one of my big questions I like to ask is, I like asking people from where they're from, because you're in Vancouver. I know that's a big food town. So like, what are your Vancouver recommendations?
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So Vancouver, if you're in Vancouver, you have to have Shaolin Bao.
Hell yeah.
because Vancouver has really high levels xiaolongbao places. That's like soup dumplings. For those that don't know, pretty much anywhere that lists soup dumplings as one of their specialties is good. We have like 8 or 9 restaurants. Those are pretty awesome. Um, I am really partial. My favorite Japanese restaurant is Raisu on Broadway. Every year, my wife and I go there for my birthday. We actually have a lineup of pictures of me and her there on my birthday.
Nice.
And so, yeah, in a couple of weeks, I'll be at Raisu again. But Raisu is exactly what it sounds like. It is spelled Raisu. That is, they're not paying me, but maybe they should, because I speak very profusely about that place. It's like fantastic. And they have all types of Japanese food you can get there. That one's really good. But beyond that, I don't know. We have a cool chain here called Big Way Hot Pot, which does like a make your own hot pot kind of thing.
Hell yeah, man. I love hot pot.
Individualized. And that's really good. I don't know if I think that is a local Vancouver thing, but started in Richmond or whatever, but I'm not sure.
Because from my area, California, San Gabriel Valley, it's kind of like seen as like the Chinese food capital. I see it as that because I grew up here, so I'm biased.
Yeah.
And man, yeah, I gotta take you to some of my spots if you guys ever come down here. I could show you something.
I would love to go back to California, but I gotta wait until America stops trying to take over my country.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
4 years, it'll be gone. It'll be
Hopefully.
good. Hopefully America doesn't get dumber by then. My other question is, because I love to end my meals with dessert. So what's your favorite dessert?
So you'd prepped me for this, and this is actually, I think, the hardest question you asked.
I sent you this a month ago, brother. I sent you that question a month ago.
Because I can wax poetic forever about like literature, philosophy, or whatever. Like that's like my degree. That's what I care about. But when it comes to desserts, like I had to think about it, and I think it changes. But right now, I think my favorite is like a good donut.
Oh.
And Vancouver has really high quality donut places.
Hell yeah.
My personal favorite is in Coquitlam. It's a place called Donut Love.
Wow.
And it is a small independent store that bakes homemade donuts every day. And the chef is a bodybuilder. So it's just this bodybuilder that cooks donuts for a living. And it's really awesome.
Okay. If you
the
could,
best apple fritter of all time.
If you could compare his body to a wrestler, who does he most resemble?
Oh, that's a good question. He has like early Macho Man body.
Oh man, that's a beautiful body.
Yeah, like early stage Macho Man, like the huge pythons and whatever, like that. That's what he looks like.
He has like that pizza shape that you want in like a superheroes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He's like his chef uniform is tapered. So the dude's huge. Dude, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's sick. And it's been so great talking to you, man. I love it. It's been one of my favorite things. I know I tell everybody this because I'm nice, but really, I mean it all the time. Because you guys are decent enough to spend your time talking to me. So what is?
I had a good time, Doc. It was good.
Yeah, man. I hope people learn a couple things, even if it's about X-Men and Jim Lee.
Yeah.
But it's my final question is, because I love the show Jesus Amaro, and I hate it when people don't give credit for what they take, because I know I've been like accused of not having an original thought, which is bullshit. Because who else did this show? Who has done this show, huh? Who's done the show that I've done? Huh? Come at me. Tell me. Huh? Nobody. Exactly.
Cut a promo talk. Do it.
Well, they say that there's generational talent, but not me. I am one of one. There's only one Doc, and that is the truth. And anyway.
You're not winning any awards with that one, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna win awards. That was my very crappy. You turn the tables on me. You turn the tables in the wrong way.
Yeah.
You cheat me out of. Anyway, I memorized that whole thing.
Yeah.
So like I copy this from my favorite podcast of all time, Jesus and Meryl, the Bodega Boys. What do you want your rainbow to say?
You mean like so when you say rainbow, do you mean like when SpongeBob holds up his hands with imagination, like
Yeah.
that kind of thing?
Yeah, like rainbow appears and it says whatever message you want to send out into the world.
Okay, I thought that's what it was.
Yeah.
I want my rainbow to say literacy. And maybe part of that is because of just teaching, and I've been teaching English and writing and reading for a long time. But that extends because something that I always try to get through to my students is that literacy is a multimodal, um, you know, thing. And it's not just can you read or write, it's also like physical literacy, it's emotional literacy, it is the ability to read. And something that maybe gets lost in the weeds a lot in wrestling is what physical literacy actually is and how you can use your body to move and tell a story and matter.
Yeah.
Athletes know this innately, right? And a wrestler is a high level wrestler is amazing because they have that athletic literacy and also like a dramatic literacy.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I train kids in track and field, we're in track and field season right now, is a lot of kids are just naturally good at something. And when I see that happen, it's like proof of this idea of, you know, I can show a kid something once and they can repeat it. That is exactly the same as being able to read.
Hell
Right?
yeah,
That
man.
kind of thing. Literacy. Yeah, so literacy, that's on my rainbow.
That's lovely, man. That's a good message to send out. I feel like we've our lesson plan was fantastic. I'm sure people have learned a lot of things, and I hope this reached somebody and touched somebody. And I'll always like saying this: if you're a wrestling fan and you feel like you're alone in the world, you're not. Um, there's always someone out there to talk to. Please
Now,
don't.
Doc, you're gonna have thousands of listeners, right? Thousands
I
and thousands of listeners,
Hey,
and I am lucky enough to be one of the guests, and I'll always appreciate that.
yeah,
Thank you.
man. I treasure this, man. I treasure this. But thank you, man. Yes, thank you.